Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our 297th weekly live webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. Now, the way this call works is this is an AMA like you see on Reddit, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, investing questions, personal growth questions, any questions you want to. And my humble goal is to help you take your career to the next level. Now, I want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all of our American students that celebrate Thanksgiving. Quick side note, Canadians celebrate Thanksgiving 6 weeks before where I'm from because the harvest is earlier in Canada because it's colder, eh? All right, let me get to your questions. All right, first up, Carolyn, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Shahar, great to see you. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving as well to you. And then a quick side note, our Black Friday sale is on. If you're interested to get 25% off, just read this stuff below me. But let me get to your questions. That's why we're here. All right, first up, Kamalesh wrote, I want to know how I would make the financial statements for a subscription-based SaaS business model. How would I enter COGS and so on? Yeah, this is best explained with using props. And I love to teach with props, as many of you know. All right, so when you forecast financial statements, it's a lot easier than you think, okay? So you're going to spend most of your time focused on revenue, okay? And so revenue is also called sales. Okay, and a lot of people think that forecasting financial statements is hard. It's not, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is you focus almost all of your time on what the revenue growth is going to be longer term. And this is best explained with a silly prop. Let me use a dice here. Okay, so we're going to forecast revenue together. Okay, and I'll show you this in a spreadsheet in a second. So if I tell you that revenue is going to grow this much, what's the next data point? Of course, it's up here, right? And if I tell you that revenue growth is decelerating, then eventually you're going to model it going down. So I'm going to throw this because an object in motion stays in motion. Okay, so that's how you forecast revenue growth. Then what you do is almost every other item you see here, including your question, which is COGS, becomes a percent of revenue. Okay, so what you do is you look at what all these red items here, from here to above, what all these red items here were as a percent of revenue or sales, same thing, were a percent of revenue or sales for the past couple of years. Okay, and then you forecast that going forward. So focus mainly on revenue growth. If you see that cost of goods sold goes from 89% of revenue to 88 to 87 to 86 over 4 or 5 years, then you know what to forecast that going forward, okay? And that will help you think about this. Now, when it comes to a SaaS, meaning software as a service business model, and think of that as kind of like you got a magazine subscription. You're not just buying the magazine, you're buying it over time. You're kind of renting it, like Netflix. When you think about it that way, what you're going to do is the cost of goods sold and all the other expenses are going to be spread over the entire period where that person rents that software or that product, so to speak. Now, the best way to think about how to create a financial model is, let's go over here. Here we go. Okay, great. So this is one of the templates I give my students in my MBA degree program. Okay, so all you got to do, and give me 1 second, the draw is on. Let me just turn draw off. Here we go, good. All right, so all you got to do is you focus on revenue, okay? So you're going to forecast revenue, and then everything else on your income statement is going to become a percent of revenue. And so, and it's hard to see with me in the corner here, but revenue minus all these red expenses, okay, that'll get you to earnings per share. And earnings per share is going to be at the bottom of your income statement. Then you're going to get EPS, and then you're going to forecast and value the company based on that. Let me go back to Big Chris mode here. Okay, here we go. This is fun. If you have follow-up questions about that, please let me know, and thank you. Okay, next up, also for a new startup, which is extremely pre-revenue, shall I make the prediction till the end of 2027 from now? Yeah, you want to forecast for 5 or 10 years at least. And so when I used to work in venture capital, what we used to do is this. When we got the financial statements from the startups and we were looking to invest in the company, we always know that the entrepreneur, meaning the founder, is very bullish, right? Very positive. So what we do is we look at the financial statements and then we more or less cut the estimates in half that they give us, okay? Because they're way too optimistic. And when we invest in any high net worth investor or venture capitalist invest in a startup, they're more focused on the management team, okay? The financials are secondary initially, okay? You always want to invest in an A management team with a B business model instead of investing in a B management team with an A business model. And the reason I say that is because you're so early, a lot of great founders are, with your business model. And we know in venture capital, we know that your business model is going to change and the market will change as well. But we want to know that you can still get us excited about that business model. And that's why a lot of the best founders in the world and entrepreneurs and CEOs, etc., they're great salespeople. They can sell. And when I meet with a startup, I always think of myself, pardon me, as being a customer, okay? And if you can't get me excited about your company, the prospects of the industry, etc., then I'm not going to invest. And a great example of this is Mark Benioff. So Mark Benioff, who started Salesforce.com, he's one of the best salespeople I've ever met. He launched the company back in 1999 after he left Oracle. But he made cloud software sound awesome, even though it's really boring. He made it sound amazing. Another great example of this is Sir Richard Branson, who oozes positivity when he sells. So the bottom line is, yes, you can focus on forecasting financial statements, but what's more important is how passionate you are when it comes to selling to investors. Yeah. Now, when you're forecasting financial statements, it's really, really tough. Okay. Now, every single sector has a driver. Okay, meaning one thing that's going to help revenue grow. And remember what I said earlier was focus on revenue growth, this thing here, and then everything else more or less becomes a percent of revenue. So the driver, for a software company might be licenses or the number of subscribers. Okay, when it comes to AT&T or Deutsche Telekom, whatever, it's going to be ARPU, which means average revenue per unit of these things you sell. When it comes to cyclical companies like Caterpillar, it could be GDP growth. When it comes to commodity companies, it could be the price of the underlying commodity, etc. And so the easiest way to build a financial model and forecast the future is to focus on the one revenue driver, then focus on forecasting revenue, this guy here, and the rest of it will fall into place. It's easier than you think. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, next question is, and what I'll say is for early stage companies, especially if you want to start a tech company or an internet company, you're not going to have revenue initially, of course, right? No company does. So what you want to do, if it's a consumer-based business model like Instagram, you want to focus on the number of subscribers. And investors love when they see hockey stick type growth in the number of subs. And I'll give you a great example. So Evan Spiegel, who founded Snapchat, he's from Southern California. He came up to Northern California, the Bay Area where I'm located, many years ago. And he tried to raise money for his startup, Snapchat. And he met with a lot of venture capitalists, right? And he didn't have any subscribers. And the venture capitalists were like, I don't understand. And they're old people like me, right? They're like, I don't understand your business model. Like, why would I use an app like Snapchat to take pictures of my kids and then all those memories disappear? WTF, why the face? And that's what investors said. Then he came back a couple of years later to the Bay Area to raise money again from venture capitalists. And he said, remember me, I'm still trying to raise money for my startup. And the venture capitalist asked him, okay, well, I don't know, how many subscribers do you have? Right? And they're half paying attention. And he said, oh yeah, well, so far we have 6 million subscribers. And the venture capitalists were like, oh my God, that's the best business model I've ever heard of, right? So if you build it, they will come, kind of like in Field of Dreams. So focus on building subscribers first and then monetize it later. Yeah, if it's an internet company. Of course, it's expensive and you always want to raise money from other people. OPM, other people's money, always. It's the only way to scale a business. Never get money from a bank because they're chicken. If you can't make one payment, they'll take your company. Okay. All right, I feel good, man. All right, I've got this new exercise routine. I'm trying to put on 20 pounds of muscle in the next 6 months. I know it's cray-cray, and if I was a quota-carrying sales rep, you all know I would be fired over and over again. But as James Cameron said, the great director from Canada, did Avatar, etc., Canadian represent, he said, if you set your goals really high and you fail above everyone else's expectations. Okie dokie. All right, next up, Raphael, who graduated from my Platinum MBA several years ago. Great to see you. I think you're from the Philippines originally. You moved to the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. You love investing. You got an award from Morgan Stanley. I remember that. And you also love cryptos. So Rafi wrote, hey, Chris, happy Thanksgiving. Same to you. Great to see you. Welcome back. Hope all is well. I just watched your real estate course, and it was great. Educational real estate course. Thank you. And then you wrote Dogecoin to the moon, which is what you always say, and I love it. Of course, Doge means something else right now. Now, in terms of the real estate course, this will take 10 seconds. If you go to my website and you buy the silver, gold, or platinum or diamond MBA program, you get the real estate course for free. And what I do in the real estate course is I teach you everything about real estate from scratch, okay? So what happens is after you enter in all this detail here, everything, I create a one-page executive summary and a business plan for you as well. It's hard to see it right there. I'll show you right here just real quick. So what comes out of it is a business plan. I don't want you to buy real estate, primary real estate, for personal use or for rental until you write the full business plan, because failing to plan is planning to fail. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. All right, and then Raphael wrote, how do you know which real estate cycle is the current market in? I'm looking at a condo in an area where everything is still developing, and it will be a great place to live in for the future. There's many factors you have to look at. Now, in terms of determining the real estate cycle, let me show you right here. So in the course, what you want to do is you want to go to the real estate cycle, which is down here. Here it is here. Okay. So real estate cycle right here. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go directly to that tab, and we do an exercise together. Okay. And I ask you a bunch of questions about what stage we're in for the real estate cycle. And you can click here, and based on what town or country you entered in settings, you'll click here and do lots of research. There's 4 stages. Okay. And then after you do research on all 4 stages and select the appropriate boxes there, what I do is I tell you what stage you're in, meaning is it a buyer's market or seller's market, etc. And I'm working very hard with Gary, one of my platinum students, graduated a year or 2 ago, Gary Russian, smart guy. He's a CPA and a former investment banker. And we're creating a forensic accounting course. I'm working very hard on it with Gary right now. He's going to come to my house soon. We're going to record it, and it'll be out before year end for my students. Yeah. All right. And forensic accounting means you look not just at the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. More importantly, you look at the footnotes in the financial statements. We explain everything from scratch too, which is fun. All right. Next question is, okay, it's the same question twice. Yeah. When it comes to buying a condo, you can either buy a condo or what's called a co-op. Don't buy a co-op, because the problem with a co-op is that it's harder to sell because the owner of the building, meaning all the residents, have to vote on whether or not they're going to accept the new person that's going to buy the co-op from you. And there's a co-op flip tax as well, which I talk about in the course. Condo is more liquid. Yeah. And I think real estate's a much better investment than stocks longer term. And I love stocks. All right. Next question is, as a startup, my startup will first be launched in Poland. Oh, cool. But mostly the investors calculate in euro in Europe. Shall I make the financial model with the Polish zloty or in euro? I would do both. Okay, so what I would do is I would have a settings page, right, the first tab. And in the first tab, you let them select the currency. Okay, so they can select, any currency in the world, so it'll be in their terms. Yeah. And you're most welcome. Thank you for that comment. Okay. And Lay wrote, happy Thanksgiving. Good morning. Great to see you as well. Lay is from South Africa. Thank you for joining us. All right, next question is, how do you determine if real estate is overvalued? If the rental yield for long-term is 3.7% and the short-term is 6.07%, is that a good output? So what matters most with real estate is that if you're renting out, meaning your investment property, you want the rent to be growing faster than inflation, which is usually the case. Inflation might grow at 2 or 3%, right, in tough times. But rent should grow at least 5% and closer to 10%. Now, there's 5 ways to value real estate, and I'll show it to you really quickly here. Okay, so what you can do is, let me see, I think it's over here. Mortgages, paperwork. Aha, no, it's here. Okay, great. So you select which property you want to buy, okay? And we value it based on price per square foot or square meters. We also do what's called the gross rent multiplier, the cap rate, the cost approach, and NPV, which is kind of like DCF, sort of, okay? And you can always click here to do the exercises, and then I calculate the value of the real estate for you. Now, the reason we use more than one methodology to value a company is because when investment bankers, for example, when investment bankers take a company public, like they did with Meta back in 2012, this is the IPO document. What they do is they always value the company, three ways at least. And the reason they use three different methodologies is just in case one of the methodologies is wrong, which is usually DCF. And so if the target price of one of the three methodologies is wrong, what you do is actually, regardless, you take the average target price in order to value this, right? And it's just a different way to value companies. So you mitigate the margin of error, or you minimize, I should say. And that's exactly what I do here. Okay, so this is in the MBA degree program for doing research on any company. I've got three target prices here: price, earnings, price, revenue, DCF. And then what we do is we take the average target price, okay? Just in case one is off. Usually it's DCF. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, next question is, when it comes to real estate, what if the only people who can afford to rent are high-income locals, or most likely foreigners, which means demand pool is very limited? Is that going to be a problem? You have to thoroughly analyze every aspect of the real estate property before you consider buying. And I've got about 100 steps for that. I'm not going to go through them right now because I don't want to bore you to tears. But if you go in the course and click here, select property to buy, I have tons and tons of different drivers like economic growth, unemployment rate. It's not just the wealth of people in the area, right? You got to think longer term, population growth, salary growth, all that stuff. And all this stuff will feed directly into your business plan and your one-page executive summary as well. Yeah, and you have to look at policy, rent control, and many, many other things as well. When it comes to policy, of course, you have to think about the new government administration that might be taking over in certain countries and what that might mean for certain areas in terms of influx, outflux of people. Yeah. I'm not going to get political. Actually, I am going to get political. Just for a second, okay? So, love or hate Donald Trump. One thing I like about what he's doing is he's really focused on ensuring that fentanyl, which is an awful, awful drug, and opioids are not brought into the United States from other countries, okay? And it's not just countries north of the border and south of the border. I don't want to get too political here. But for those of you that have not lost a loved one, somebody close to you, okay, to opioids or fentanyl, and I have, it's a terrible, terrible dilemma, and they're easy to get these things. And I humbly think that if somebody passes away from a drug, narcotic, call it fentanyl, opioid, cocaine, whatever it is, the person that sold it to them should go to jail for manslaughter as well. Now, okay, with Trump, and I'm not going to tell you guys who I support, okay? Although I loved Ronald Reagan growing up in Canada, that's why I came to the States, okay? But with Trump, the way it works is he's good at negotiating. Love or hate him, he's good at negotiating. And so the way it works usually in a negotiation is one party says, I want this. Okay, and for those of you listening on Spotify podcast, I've got my hand to the left. One party wants this and the other party wants this. Okay, so they're pretty close together. And usually they meet in the middle. But when it comes to Trump, one party wants this, Trump says he wants this. And they end up meeting not in the middle, but maybe over here. Okay, so is Trump really going to slap on 25% tariffs on every product that comes out of Mexico and Canada, and 10% tariffs, whatever, on China? No, it's not going to be that bad. It's just posturing right now. Okay, and so what's already happened is Justin Trudeau in Canada. And if I were okay, screw it, I'm going there. If I were in Canada, my favorite hat would be a red hat that would say, "Make Trudeau a drama teacher again." That's right, I said that. Jokes aside. I'm just kidding, sort of. But Trump has already spoken to Trudeau, and I'm sure the Trudeau administration is focused on cutting down on imports of illegal fentanyl from other countries. Okay, and the same thing with respect to Mexico. Mexico is also already working on stopping drugs going into the United States. They're trying their best to do it. Okay, and everybody wins if this happens. Will Trump really slap on 25% tariffs? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And the ultimate judge of if Trump is doing a good job or not is the stock market, right? He's very business focused. Love him or hate him. Okay, and if the market were to pull back materially, because of tariffs, which is not happening right now, interestingly enough, of course, what he would do is he would not put on really high tariffs, right? He's business minded. Yeah. Okay. All right, give me 1 second to get to the next question. Okay, in terms of real estate, would you still buy a unit if there's no official data on vacancy rates, making it difficult to get a real sense of oversupply issue? High vacancy rates are always a red flag, right? Yes, yeah. No, I would not do that. Now, when you buy a piece of real estate, it might be the biggest investment and the best investment you ever make. And so if you take my real estate course, as you know, as part of your due diligence, I have you reach out to 5 different real estate lawyers, 5 different real estate brokers, 5 different inspectors, 5 different, there's tons of checks in place, okay? And you're not allowed, I won't let you buy real estate until you have all these checks in place. And you can always ask your real estate realtors, for example, what the vacancy rate is, and you can always find that data as well. Now, if you're gonna buy a rental unit, you have the right to ask them what the vacancy has been for the past couple of years or so. And so what I always recommend doing so you can get your life back if you own real estate investment properties like I do, is you get what's called a property manager to manage it for you. And this might cost you 10% per year of the rent, but it's worth every penny. Why? Because they will ensure that vacancy is very, very low. That's their job. Yeah. All right. Peter C. wrote, "Hey, Chris, anything special planned for office hours 300? I thought of the movie 300 and putting some crazy graphic in. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'll do something special. Yeah, I will. And it's to celebrate all of you. And we're coming up on a big milestone also on my YouTube channel. We're about to reach, I think it's 100,000 subs. And so when I get that silver play button, I'm going to dedicate it to all of you. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. We did this together. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next question, which is from Joshua. Hey, Joshua, who wrote, what is a good CRM and operating system for managing leads with AI and automation capabilities? Yeah. So I would go to salesforce.com and check it out there. Salesforce is the quintessential platform when it comes to anything sales related, okay, for CRM, customer relationship management. They also have an app store where you can plug in different AI products, etc. I would start there if you want to. In terms of how do I manage my CRM for my company? So when you first get started, right, with your own business, I recommend using something simplistic like SurveyMonkey, right? And email is old school, but email marketing is still the gold standard. Then I moved up to a product called Active Campaign, but I think it's Captive Campaign, right? It's just, I'm about to switch to a product called GoHighLevel, which is one of my favorite software companies on the planet now. If GoHighLevel were to go public, I would definitely invest in the IPO. Okay. Next up, we have Nick, who wrote, hi, Chris. I'm a new guest here. First time in the Q&A session. Welcome, welcome. And I have a friend of mine named Nick, and I asked him, why did your parents call you Nick? And he said, I don't know. My dad thought about it when he was shaving. That's awful dad humor. It took me 25 minutes to embarrass myself. And I got to go off script quickly. So I got 3 boys, okay? And my youngest son, right, he's now in the 9th grade. And this guy's third year university, this guy's first year university. My youngest son walked into my office a couple of years ago. And what I was doing was I was recording a lecture, and I got music from Kanye West. Okay, just the music, not the vocals. And I was rapping. I was rapping a song. And I was teaching finance and accounting, other stuff while I was rapping. He walked right into this door here. Okay. He walked right in. I didn't know he was watching, right? He was right here. And he said, "Dad, if you publish that video, I'm never talking to you again." Yeah. So anyway, let me close it with this because it's too hard to reach over. Okay. All right, give me 1 second to go back here. Okay. So Nick wrote, first time here. Great to see you, bud. Thanks for your Billions TV show reactions. Thank you. Absolute hidden gems. Thank you so much. And I love doing it. And actually, one of the writers of Billions reached out to me and had nice things to say about that. And a lot of people that worked on Billions also have reached out to me as well. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I will get back to making more of those Billions videos very soon. Yeah. Okay. You wrote, my first question is, how has recruiting in the hedge fund industry evolved in the past 10 years? What kind of candidates were hedge funds looking for in the past versus now? I don't think it's changed very much, right? Like the top hedge funds, to get in, you have to have prior experience at smaller hedge funds, for example. Yeah. But they always love to hire people that are experts in a certain domain. For example, if I want to be, so my first hedge fund job was at a great hedge fund called Kingdon Capital. And Mark Kingdon is a mensch. I love that man. In Kingdon Capital, it was the oldest hedge fund in history in New York City at 57th and 7th. But the reason I got that job there was because I marketed myself as somebody that knew a lot about software and internet. And I was a domain expert, humbly, in that area because I worked for 4 years as a programmer developer at a firm called Accenture. And so I knew a lot about that sector. And I also had investing experience working at Goldman Sachs to get in. But the most important thing I can tell you is this. If you want to get a job at a hedge fund, because they don't really advertise, what you have to do, and this goes for any company, you have to network like crazy. Because every time you see a job opening online, you literally have a 1 in 250 chance of getting that job. It's true. So who gets that job? Well, it's ultimately somebody that knows someone at the company. So that's what you got to do. And so in my MBA programs, you can check out the link below. What you can do is I help you create an amazing LinkedIn profile and I teach you how to network. Now, my success rate, humbly, on getting meetings with people I've never met before, leveraging LinkedIn, using my methodology, has always been 95%. And I don't say that to impress you. Rather, I say it to impress upon the fact that you can do it as well using my methodology. And for those that want to learn more about networking, what you can do is you can get my networking book for free. And the place for that is just go to, I think it's harounmba.com. Yeah. And scroll down to the bottom past all my propaganda here for my courses. And then right here, you can download the networking book. Again, go to harounmba.com. Okay. And MBA does not stand for Merry But Available. That's awful. I'm just going to stop my awful jokes because I lose people every time I have a bad joke. Okay. All right. But if you want to work at a tech hedge fund, for example, right, one focused on AI, like Renaissance, go to rentech.com and look to see what the employees have in terms of background. A lot of them are PhDs in math and computer science, not finance. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up. As we look ahead, what skills and qualities do you think will be most in demand for people entering the industry, the hedge fund industry? Yeah, I would say data analysis. Being a data scientist as a background is a great thing because when you analyze a company, you can't just look at qualitative stuff. You have to look at quantitative stuff. And without looking at data, you have no thesis, just an opinion. Yeah. Okay. And then Rafi wrote, so far applying what I've learned from your course, banking on a small subset of renters to sustain a target rental yield is risky, isn't it? Yeah, you're talking about real estate in general. Yeah, Yeah, of course, you always want to enter a market where there's a total addressable market, which is massive, right, for any industry, right? And so in venture capital, I once partnered with a venture capital firm called Kleiner Perkins, and they participated in our deal. And I asked my buddy that worked there, Paul Ye, great guy, Paul Ye, Y-E-H, he's no longer there. You can look him up on LinkedIn, though, great guy. So I asked him, what kind of companies do you invest in? And he said, well, quite often when we go through our investment committee meetings, we usually don't invest in a company that doesn't have a total addressable market of at least $20 billion. And the reason is, in the unlikely event that the underlying company they invest in gets 5% share of a $20 billion total addressable market, that means $1 billion in revenue per year. Okay, so you always want to look at a massive total addressable market with every company you're looking to launch or invest in. Yeah. Okay. And then next question is about real estate. Rafi wrote, if condo prices keep rising, but rental rates not so much, property prices skyrocket, but the rental yields have dropped significantly, would you still buy a unit? Yeah, I don't care about the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. I always look at 20, 30, 40 years when I'm investing in any company and any real estate unit. Okay, and you got to think long term with this stuff always. You know, there's an old cliche. My grandfather, who I miss very much, used to always say to me, Chrissy, buy land, they're not making it anymore. So you always want to look at supply relative to demand longer term, and I help you forecast this over 30 years on a monthly basis in that real estate course. Just click on the income statement. I create the income statement for you on a monthly basis for 30 years. Yeah. Okay, next up, Abdulaziz, and I've got a very good friend named Abdulaziz who I visit in Dubai every now and then, and we always call him Aziz. So Aziz, if you don't mind, wrote, hey Chris, hope you're doing well, likewise. We're launching a startup offering door-to-door meat delivery, and we're trying to get PETA to sponsor us. I just made up that part, sorry. We're launching a startup offering door-to-door meat delivery and seek minimalist strategies to enhance our online presence and reach customers. Any suggestions? Yeah. So what I would do is I would analyze what Uber Eats does. I would also analyze what Grubhub does and try to copy that platform if you can. It's very, very hard. It's really, really competitive to do that and to break into that market. I would write a full business plan first because failing a plan is plan to fail. I say it with love in my heart. And so in my MBA degree program, I also have a venture capital boot camp as well. Okay. And for those of you in my MBA program, just go to E31. That's Entrepreneurship Semester 3 class 1. And I teach you how to write a business plan. What comes out of this is a massive business plan and your investor slides. What you're going to have to focus on is your go-to-market strategy, because it's going to be very difficult to compete. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be difficult to compete with the Uber Eats of the world, okay, or even Amazon, right? So Amazon delivery, and I use Amazon's whole Foods delivery service for all my meats, etc. Yeah. Okay. And then Danny Drives has a great question. What's better, Super Mario 64 or Zelda, the Ocarina of Time? You know what I'm doing there, right? I like Super Mario 64. I think that Mario 64 was the very first product that had an open world concept that worked, right? And Nintendo figured out, and if it weren't for Nintendo, and we do a lot of case studies on Nintendo in my MBA degree program, if it weren't for Super Mario 64, I don't think that we would have any GTA products today because they pioneered it. It's a masterpiece. I am 52, which is true. Okay. And the best thing when you have kids is when your kids will tell you, Dad, can you help me with this level in Mario Odyssey or Mario Galaxy, whatever it was? And you're like, okay, fine. All right. Next up, Edash, who wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you, too. What is your opinion on the CFA? Also, when making a cold call, what are your tips? Yeah, so the CFA, I think, is better than an MBA. That's right. So CFA stands for Certified Financial Analyst Designation. It's a 3-year program. And all you do is you write an exam at night 3 times over 3 years. And when I did it, Goldman Sachs sponsored me. And I'll never forget when I wrote level 1. It was right after 9/11. And we were all in New Jersey, which is close to New York City. And before we wrote the exam in a massive warehouse, we all had to stand up. And the moderator of the exam said, before we start, we're going to read out all the CFA charter holders that passed away in 9/11. And the list was endless. It broke my heart. A lot from Cantor Fitzgerald. Yeah. But if you're going to do the CFA, what I would do is they're going to recommend that you buy a ton of books, textbooks that are so boring, right? It's like $500 to $1,000 for these textbooks. Don't do that. I want you to go to eBay and search for Schweizer, okay? And good luck spelling that. It'll correct you, right? Schweizer CFA books, and that will cost you $30 or $40. And these books, this is what I did. These books, what they are is a summary of the only stuff you need to know so you can work smarter and not harder. Yeah. Schweizer is owned by Kaplan, which is owned by the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, I guess now. Yeah. All right. All right. And you had a follow-up question here. When making a cold call, what are your tips? Yeah. Oh, God. Cold calling is tough, man. The only way I would cold call is if you use LinkedIn. And I'll explain exactly how to do this. Okay. And then I'll give you another tip on how to get meetings with any CEO in the world. That's right. So when you're cold calling, you got to appeal to emotion, right? So you go to LinkedIn, do an advanced search on somebody that has at least 2 things in common with you. Maybe they went to the same high school as you, and they went to the same undergrad. And then maybe they live in the same area as you. So you reach out to them and you say exactly this. For example, John, hope all is well. I also graduated, this is all true. I also graduated from the Toronto French School, and I also went to McGill University for my undergraduate degree, and I live here in the Bay Area, assuming John does as well. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee. And then you write, thanks a lot, comma, next line, your future boss. No, thanks a lot, Chris. And you'll notice there that it's a little bit elusive. You send an in-mail because nobody responds to emails, right? And every in-mail you've read, every in-mail you've gotten, you've read. So in that in-mail, you talked about what you have in common, a couple things, but you didn't say why you want to meet. And the person looking at the in-mail is probably going to be curious, why is this person reaching out to me? You know what? Okay, I'll take the meeting, right? Because if you say you're trying to sell something, they're not going to answer. And if you don't believe me that this works, I want you to think of this. Close your eyes. It's 20 years in the future. And this is how you get a job too. It's 20 years in the future. And you're 20 years more successful than you already are today. And somebody reaches out to you that's 20 years younger. And this person is really similar to you. You know, they've had the same life struggles. They're from the same hometown. They went to the same undergrad. They live in the same area, whatever. Would you take that meeting to help that person? Of course you would. Just start setting up these informational meetings. And it's hard because you think you're going to fail if people don't respond. But you only have to be right in business one time. And as Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Yeah. So your network is your net worth, and relationships are more important than product knowledge. People want to help you if you ask. Okay. Now, the second way to meet with anybody, or a CEO in particular, now this is gold. Okay. This is what I'm about to tell you is gold, and this will help you in your career. And always talk to a decision maker. Okay. Don't waste your time talking to people who don't make decisions. Here's what you do. This is how you meet almost any CEO in the world. Search online for annual shareholder. Search online for annual shareholder meeting for the company that you want to work at or get as a customer. Go to that shareholder meeting because anybody can go. Okay. And the way shareholder meetings work is the CEO presents for a long time. And it's usually at a hotel or the company headquarters. And not many people are there. It's really strange. Yeah. And they serve bad coffee. It's true. But what you do is this. When the shareholder meeting is over, okay, you go up to the CEO and you introduce yourself to the CEO. Okay. And the CEO is going to talk to you for as long as you want. Okay, within reason. Why? Because board members might be in the audience and other C-level executives like CFO, COO, and other employees might be around, and they want to set a good impression. Okay, and other investors in the audience. and you say this to the CEO. Okay, I'm going to make this up. Joanne, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've been a big fan of your company for many years. I have a product that I'm really confident can increase your operating profits by X%. Is there anybody in your company I could talk to and just explain what this product is? They're going to say no. They're going to say something like this, right? In order to end the conversation. They're going to say, yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. Why don't you talk to Craig Stevenson, who heads up operations. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you. Then what you do is this. That day, you send an email to Craig Stevenson or whoever, the person that heads up operations, and you say this. Craig, hope all is well. I met today with Joanne, the CFO or CEO, whatever person's name is, and she recommended that I reach out to you. Please let me know if you have time for a quick coffee. Thanks a lot, Chris. Now, Craig might reach out to the CEO and say, did this person meet you? And then the CEO will say something like, oh yeah, I met that dude at the shareholder meeting, and they'll take the meeting. Okay. Do this over and over and over again if you want to get customers. Always go to the top. Don't waste your time otherwise. You don't have to be right. You only have to be right in business one time. Okay. All right. Indigo Kid, I love it, wrote, hey Chris, does your real estate course focus on owning internationally? Yeah, everything I teach in every course, I always think of a massive total addressable market to the extent that it works in every single country. And so what you do is you go into settings, you type your country name here and the town, and everything will be customized for you based on what you type, okay? Everything will be customized for you, yeah. All right, and the reason why I use a straw for my coffee is I'm trying to get my teeth whiter. So anyway. All right, next up, hey Fernando, it's been a while, dude. Hope you're doing well. You wrote, hey Chris, I've been MIA for a while. Glad to attend today. Happy Thanksgiving. I miss you, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family too. God bless you. Okay, I have a new question here from somebody named Next Billion Dollar. Give me 1 second. It jumps on me sometimes. Also, the older I get, the better I was. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, here it is here. All right, so Next Billion Dollar wrote, how do you calculate how much funding we need to raise to build our startup? Yeah, it's pretty easy. What you do is you create your income statement for the next 5 years, okay, using the templates in my courses, right? And then you're going to notice that in the first couple of years, you're probably not going to have a net profit. You're probably going to lose money. So let's say in years 1, 2, and 3, you lose $100,000, $200,000, and $300,000. So that adds up to $500,000 you need to raise. And that is referred to as the use of proceeds, okay? And what that might mean is it might mean if you're an early stage company, you're trying to raise a lot of money initially for research and development in years 1 and 2. And then maybe years 3 and beyond, it's sales and marketing to sell this stuff you made. Use of proceeds. Okay, Kevin, how are you? You wrote good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Hope you're doing well. And my parents are right now in Lauderdale. They're snowbirds. They spend half the year down there. I'm going to go see them at Christmas. Can't wait. Yeah. Okay, and Andre, good morning. Great to see you as well. Okay, moving on to Raphael, who wrote, if the price per square meter is a primary valuation metric, but listing price is not equal to the sales price, without transparency, buyers might buy more than the property's value, which could be inflationary. Yeah, it all depends, right? And I ask you a gazillion questions in the real estate elective to help you create this business plan, okay? But I make you think longer term as well, meaning you'll create a long-term income statement, or I'll create it for you. Yeah. And they have to be transparent. Otherwise, don't buy. Transparency builds trust. And never invest in anything before writing a business plan. And never invest in anything unless you get paperwork from a lawyer or the company discloses this sort of stuff, to list all the risks, etc. Otherwise, lawsuits can occur. And you'll get all the documentation for the real estate property you want to buy, and your real estate lawyer will make sure you get access to everything. Yeah. All right, Manas, how are you? From Calcutta, where one of my favorite people in the world, Mother Teresa, is from. Manas wrote, who joined my silver program recently. And Manas, I love you. And unfortunately today, I got to pre-announce, let you guys know. There's no Zoom call today at 10 a.m. when this call ends because of Thanksgiving. I want to say happily married. Yeah, but there will be one starting next week. Yeah. So Manas wrote, good morning. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Much love to you all forever. You guys changed my life forever. Thank you for everything. God bless you, man. God bless you. And speaking of Mother Teresa, I want to talk about how to be very successful. Okay. So this is a great book by Adam Grant called Give and Take. And what he talks about in this book is how the most successful people in the world are givers. Okay. And the top 1% of people in the world by net worth, billionaires, they're givers. Okay. And I know it sounds strange. You think that, hey, billionaires are selfish, etc. Some of them are, but not all are. If you give and help people, okay, call it karma, call it karma synchronicity, call it what you will. If you help people, you will be wealthy in the long run. And one of the reasons why is because you're basically mentoring people and reminding yourself, when one teaches to learn, you're reminding yourself of what your DNA subfabric for success is. So always help people. In fact, before you go to any informational meeting, always understand that people are motivated by three things. Number one, they want to make more money. Number two, they want to get promoted faster. Number three, they want to enjoy what they do. So think of one of three things to help them before your informational meeting. A lot of times you can write one-page templates, which I provide many examples of for download in my MBA degree program. All right, so that's the top 1%. The bottom 1% of people in the world by net worth are givers as well. And I love them even more, like Mother Teresa from Calcutta. And that's mentioned in this book as well. So always give, help other people. I promise you will help you. And the best social media icons, whatever, that have done really well, they're givers because they make a lot of content to teach people and help people. And one teaches to learn. Great to see you. Okay, next up, ESW wrote, 20 pounds of muscle in that time is a goal for an anabolic enhancement, LOL. Yeah, I'm not taking anabolic steroids. I was a fitness instructor for a decade and have an eight-pack abs. Humble brag. Dude, I have a one-pack. Okay, I've got what in Canada we call a Molson muscle. Okay. I'd love to be able to help you on that goal. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. You know what? Why don't you do this? Send an email to support@harounventures.com and then put in ESW and mention this, and we'll set up a call, but I'm going to help you more. Yeah. Thank you. For free, of course. Yeah. All right. And then Manas wrote, you have the best real estate course ever, but I had a question for you, of course. Imagine if I built a house on land. Will it be depreciated and be used for the mortgage? Yeah. So the way depreciation works. So I want everybody in this call in 20 years. I want you to be making more money from the rental real estate properties you own than from your base salary. That way you don't have to get up every day and work for some schmuck that's going to pay you this much money to make their dreams become a reality. Now, the way you can make a fortune with real estate longer term is you hire an accountant. Now, if you go back to the 2016 televised debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I'm smiling because she said, I'm glad you're not making the laws in this country. And then he said, because you'd be in jail. Yeah. I'm not telling you if I'm Republican or Democrat. But anyway, during that debate, she criticized Trump. She criticized him because he didn't really pay much in taxes. And he came out and he said, well, it's because I own real estate and I get to depreciate stuff. So the way it works is this. When you run your own company, whether it's a real estate company or anything, your goal with the help of your accountant is to legally pay as little in taxes as possible. And this is how the rich get insanely wealthy. And so what you don't see here is another brick that would be called depreciation. And the way it works with real estate, it's different in different countries. But with real estate, what you can do is you can depreciate, in the United States, for example, if it's a residential real estate property, you can depreciate the value of the building on the land over 27.5 years. Okay, if it's commercial, it's over 39 years. And what that's going to do is, and it's funny money, right? It doesn't really exist. It's like monopoly money. But that depreciation block, which is invisible, but assume it's there, that is going to massively decrease how much you're going to pay in taxes, okay? And you can also write off the interest, right? So in the United States and in Switzerland and a couple other countries, for personal real estate, you can write off the interest. You're going to pay less in taxes, okay? In almost all countries, you can write off all of the interest for any company, so you pay less in taxes. So what does that mean for a personal real estate investment? Well, what that means is this. Let's assume you live in the United States and you make $100,000 a year, okay? And for simplicity, let's assume that the tax rate is 50%. So on $100,000, you're going to pay 50 grand in taxes. Now, let's assume that you bought a house. That's how you say it in Canada. It's not house, Americans. Let's assume you bought a house. And you're going to pay $10,000 in interest on your mortgage every year. Well, your taxes are going to go down. Why? Because the way you're going to calculate your tax now is you're going to take, and this is just rough math, okay? You're going to take $100,000, which is your salary, minus $10,000. Okay, so that's $90,000 in salary. Just stick with that number for now. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pay 50% on $95,000, which is $45,000 in tax. So you just save 5 grand every year, almost every year. Okay, in the early years. All right. But Manas, you can't, when you depreciate, you can't write off the land because, land goes up in value in the long run. Plus, you think about a building, goes down in value because it keeps getting older. You can only depreciate the stuff on the land. Okay. All right. And then Raphael wrote, so with rising prices and dropping yields, high vacancy rates and questionable valuations, are the condo market headed for a correction, or am I seeing a temporary dip? It all depends on the region. Okay, so in the United States, 100,000 baby boomers retire every single week. That's one of the reasons why the unemployment rate looks low. Okay, it's artificially low. So when you look at demographics and long-term trends, what does that mean? Well, baby boomers quite often don't want to live, when they retire, they don't want to live in a house. They want to buy a condo or an apartment. So think about it that way. But it all depends on what market you're looking at. If you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're looking at condos, I don't know. I don't think that they're as popular there as they are in Florida, for example. People like to live more in places. So it all depends on the market you're looking at. And again, in the real estate course, I ask you a gazillion questions to help you from a due diligence perspective before you even think about buying that property. Yeah, including what you're asking about. Okay, Googly wrote, I just decided to become a millionaire. I love it. I love this. Before you even mention your question, the Rodin sculpture, I think therefore I am, right? You got to think you're successful in order to become successful. It's all up here. Yeah. Whether or not you think you can do it, you're right. Okay, visualize success always. So I just decided to become a millionaire. I realized I won't be able to live the life I want without that. Yep. The problem is that I've spent my entire life just trying to get by. How do I make this shift? Yeah, a couple things. Number one, live below your means. Okay. A lot of very rich people are so cheap. It's just who they are. Quick side note, if you work for somebody that's rich and they pay you a crappy bonus at Christmas, your Christmas bonus, whatever it is, one data point makes a trend. Move on. Don't trust them. They're going to be cheap forever. But they get that way, and you can get that way too by being very cheap. Let me show you an example. Okay, and it all has to do with the time value of money. All right, so let me go over here to my real estate course, and I'm going to do a very quick exercise. Okay, and I want you to humor me here and answer these questions. Okay, so let's assume that your monthly rent is $2,000. Doesn't even matter, right? $2,000, okay? And let's assume that you're going to rent for 50 years, okay? And let's assume that the time value of money, meaning the S&P 500, for example, will go up 12% per year on average. What do you think the total is, right? How much would you have spent? Like, how much would you waste there? Well, you might say, you know, Alexa, what is 2,000 times 12 times 50?
2,000 times 12 times 50 is 1.2 million.
You're like, oh, wow, it's a lot of money, $1.2 million. Well, it's way more than that because of the time value of money. So the future value of all those payments over 50 years is $78 million. Staggering. Staggering. It all adds up. Okay, so I want you to live below your means and save as much money as you can. Okay, and I want all your paychecks, if you can. It's harder to do it at all points in your life, but I want all your paychecks. I want money to be taken out and put into your retirement savings program. In America, it's called 401k. In other countries, it's called something else. And I want it to go into your retirement savings program because you can grow that money tax-free. And the government is basically giving you money. So make sure you take advantage of that if you can. You can also save money and get a commensurate tax break with educational savings accounts programs for your kids, right? So I humbly paid off my kids' education many years ago. And I feel bad bragging. I had troubles in my life earlier too. But I put in an educational savings account, and you can do about 15 grand per year per kid, right? Yeah. Sorry for disclosing that. Yeah. Okay. Another thing I want to say googly is the only way to live your life on your own terms is to be self-employed. Okay, the system is rigged. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but the system is rigged to favor those that start companies. Why? Because if you start a company, your goal, within reason, your goal is to minimize how much you're paying in taxes. Okay? The wealthiest 400 families in America pay only 20% taxes. Warren Buffett has publicly disclosed that he pays less than 1% on a normalized basis quite often in taxes. The system is set up to help those have their own companies. And I know it's expensive to start a company, okay? But write a business plan first. And my goal is to help you start your company so you can certainly live your life on your own terms. Otherwise, something terrible will happen one day. You wake up and you're really, really, really old. And you're like, dude, I can't get out of bed. Why? Because I can't get out of bed because I have to go to work for the schmuck. That's right. That's going to pay me this much money to make their dreams become reality. Now, you can start a business with zero down. It's true. You just have to be able to raise money from others, OPM, other people's money. And I teach that in my MBA degree program in the third semester when we had the 15-hour venture capital boot camp. Failing to plan is plan to fail. You'll create a business plan first. All right, let me move on. All right. Verkulum wrote, Happy Thanksgiving, Chris. Thanks to you. Thank you. Yeah, first time seeing you on the call. I hope you join us again. You wrote, my name is Eric. I'll remember that. Thank you. And I'm currently a junior in high school. Very cool. Wow. I'm thinking about a path into finance, and I've looked into it. What should I learn / do more specifically to help? Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So what I recommend doing is exactly this. And this is going to be a generic answer to apply to everybody in this call. If you want to change careers, or if you want to work, Eric, in finance, set up a ton of informational meetings using the methodology I explained before, and use to download this book from my website for free. Okay. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. Your network is your net worth. Remember that. It's really important. And the younger you remember that, the better. Set up networking meetings with people that graduate from your high school. Do an advanced search in LinkedIn. And find people that work at finance schools or work at finance companies and set up informational meetings with them. They'd be crazy to say no. So you can send an email on LinkedIn that says something like this. John, hope all is well. I'm currently a student at XYZ High School. Please let me know if you have time for a quick coffee. Thanks a lot, Eric. Of course they're going to say yes. It's the only way to get a job, okay? The only way. Network. Your network is your net worth. Yeah. And what I want you to do is I want you to offer to do an unpaid internship, okay? And what you can actually do is this. If you really want to impress them, okay, what you can do is you can do a one-page write-up on a company, right? And so in my MBA degree program, there's this spreadsheet which teaches you how to invest like professional Wall Street investors do. And I ask you tons of questions about qualitative research, quantitative, and financial research, okay? All the steps are here, okay? And there's a video on every single tab on row 21 that'll explain through a YouTube video how to do each tab. Then you're going to forecast the financial statements. And yes, you can do this at any age. I teach you in such a simplistic way, using a lot of props. It's fun. Then what's going to come out of this is a couple of things. Number one, an executive summary. And this is just dummy data here. But you're going to print this out, okay? And you're going to put that on the back of your resume. And you're going to bring that to the informational meeting as well. And they're going to be blown away. And what you can also do, Eric, if you want to, is you can print out a detailed report on the company as well. And even open up this file, right? And heck, take my logo off, but keep it, pretend it's yours. I don't care. And then right here, you've got a dashboard based on all the stuff you entered in. Who does that? And if you think that's too much work for anybody in this call right now, I say this with love of my heart. How badly do you want that job? Every battle is won before it's been fought. That's a great quote from a book. I think it's Sun Tzu in the Art of War. Okay. All right, moving on to Vinay. Vinay wrote, hey, Chris. Hey, Vinay. One of my dreams is to be able to travel, hike, camp, backpack, kayak, and just be outdoors as much as possible for months at a time. I have no idea how to make this a reality because of work. Yeah. The only way to live your life in your own terms is to have your own company and create a virtual product. Okay, so for me, for example, I've made mistakes in my career, and that's how I've learned. But with my company, I have no inventory. Okay, I sell products, which are courses you can download. And sometimes you don't know it, but sometimes I'm actually in different countries when I do this weekly webcast. Well, you will know by the background, won't look like this, right? And a lot of times I'll write my courses in different places, right? So I've written a couple of courses from Paris. I rent the place by a park there. I've gone to many countries to do it as well. And the only way to be able to live your life in your own terms is to start your own company and do what I do, or anybody else does it self-employed. Yeah. Also, the way I run my company is I don't have employees. I have an S corporation, so it's a very high margin business. But I have tons of contractors, okay, offshore, just to save money. So if you want to start your own company and save a ton of money, here's what I recommend doing. I'm going to show you a website that you're going to love. So you go to onlinejobs.ph. Okay, this is in the Philippines. And you can hire anybody to do anything. So let me click, I don't know, a random one here, video editor. Okay. So right here, university educated in the Philippines, $5.50 per hour. Okay. $8 an hour. Right. And some of them are a little bit more. And I have friends that will hire 3 people at the same time from this website and have a trial with them and pick one. And they'll tell them that ahead of time. But you can hire somebody to do everything here. What I also do is I use AI a lot, and I use technology processes and APIs, having websites talk to each other, etc., so that I don't have to hire people full time. Yeah, always use technology. Yeah, that's how you're going to save a fortune. Okay. But write a business plan first, dude. Right? And in my MBA program, you can learn about it right here. I teach you how to write a business plan. Yeah. Never launch a company without writing a business plan first. A big one, like 100 pages, which is what I teach. So how do you know you have a good business that has a good probability of making it? Well, the way you know is if you finish the business plan. It's kind of like doing an investment write-up. The way I know I have a good investment write-up with my 100 steps is if I finish the investment write-up. So as you go through these many templates in my MBA degree program, what I do is I ask you tons of questions based on your research. I don't tell you what to buy. I teach you what to buy. Give a person a fish they eat for a day. Teach them how to fish they eat for a lifetime. That's a quote from one of my favorite people in history. I always want you to do your own research. So if you start doing a write-up on a business plan, and 3 hours into the 15-hour part of my course where I teach you how to do that, you decide, you know what, man? I've answered a lot of questions Chris has asked me, Chris has asked me in this template. And I realize this is not a good business because, I don't know, the total addressable market is too small. Stop working on it. Move on to another idea. Okay. Now let's say you have a great business plan and you started the company, okay? And now you're like, Chris, my side hustle is starting to make money. Should I quit my full-time job now? Not yet. Here's how you know. The way you know to quit your full-time job is this, and I'm being conservative. If your trailing 6 months revenue from your startup is greater than your annual salary, that's a sanity check. And the reason I say 6 months is because if you start, say, an e-commerce business and you're like, oh my gosh, I had a great November, that means I can make that much money times 12. No, because of Black Friday. And it's called Black Friday because retail companies, historically, this is brutal, they're in the red all year long and they break even, by the third or fourth week of November. Yeah. Okay. And then Manas wrote, my mentor, maybe I strain my wrists while doing push-ups. Any tips on doing multiple rounds every morning before the shower? Yeah. And I love the fact you're doing that. We always have to exercise every day in order to beat depression, which is something I've suffered from. So what I do, and I'll get to your push-ups in a second. What I do, now you can see my messy desk, is I get 20 to 30,000 steps every single day right here in my office. And the way I do it is I have a $100 treadmill. You can buy on sale on Black Friday, a sale on Amazon right now. I don't make money on that crap, but I care. And what I do is I get my steps all day long. And the reason why this works is because when I was younger, the first hour of every day when I was studying was the most productive hour. Then when I crammed at night for 10 hours, it wasn't as productive as the first hour. Well, it's because you're fresh. And if you walk all day, like I do, it's crazy, but it's fun. What happens is you trick your brain into thinking that you just woke up, so you're fresh. And you can accomplish way, way more. Now, when it comes to hurting your wrist, what I recommend doing is don't do push-ups. Instead, go to the gym, okay? And this is how I do it, okay? So a lot of people hold the bar like that, right? And they do yeah. So what you can do is this. On a machine, right? This is the bar. You put your thumb down and you put the bar right here, okay? On a machine, okay? And then you lift this way. And that's putting more pressure on the entire forearm instead of hurting the wrist. Yeah. And what you can also do is, in order to strengthen your wrist, is you can get one of these products here, okay? And then just kind of do it this way. Yeah. And you can reverse it the other way as well, right? And you can get these things pretty cheap online. Yeah. You have no idea how messy my office is. It looks neat here, but you don't know. It's brutal. Okay. All right. Gaming Among Us. It's been a while. Good to see you. Wrote, do you have any stories about Paul Tudor Jones? I don't specifically, but there is a great documentary that was made on him in the late 1980s that you can access on YouTube. Yeah. And anytime you see a documentary on anybody in finance in the late 80s, it means they made a lot of money on Black Monday, meaning when the market crashed. Yeah. And then Manos wrote, 35% tariff on China. How safe is it? Same on Mexico and Canada. And the Chinese buy debt after such. Will the Chinese buy debt after such a massive tariff? And will India be affected because IT services are the backbone of the economy in India? Yeah. Couple things. Number one, it's not 35%, right? So for Mexico and Canada, Trump said 25. It's not going to be that much, right? This is just him posturing in order to get the war on drugs to get better. It's not going to be that bad. That much I promise you. In terms of tariffs on China, yeah, there's going to be some tariffs, right? Some tariffs. It's not going to be disastrous to the extent that global trade grinds to a halt and the stock market crashes. As I mentioned earlier, the real-time feedback on Trump as a president is going to be how the stock market does. He won't do anything, I don't think, that is going to cause global markets to crash. Now, in terms of China buying U.S. debt, So what you're referring to is this. I'll show you. So what happens is the United States government, every now and then they'll sell treasuries, okay, just bonds, short-term bonds. And other countries will buy it. And if other countries buy it and they give the government money, it allows the American government to control interest rates. Okay. And the very last company on the planet to ever go bankrupt will be the Federal Reserve, or will be the United States, I should say. Okay. Now China is going to continue to buy debt from the United States, but they're not as important as you think. You know, the Japanese government buys more debt, so they're more important. But if the Chinese government were to say, you know what, we're not buying any more debt from you at all, it will hurt the Chinese economy more than the U.S. Because the Chinese economy is more dependent on the U.S. than vice versa because of exports. And that's why the Chinese government is trying to create their own economy, domestic economy, so they're self-sufficient and not as reliant on the rest of the world. Right? And they're very long-term focused. And people say that Chinese communists are the best capitalists. They're very long-term focused on that. Okay. Now, in the United States, a lot of people don't realize that 2/3 of GDP, meaning revenue for the country, 2/3 of GDP in the United States is consumer spending. That's why everybody in the world focuses so much, especially the past couple of days and tomorrow, Black Friday, on how the U.S. consumer is doing. That's what matters most in the United States. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Kyle wrote, hey, I've been watching you for a while. Thank you. And I love the videos. Thank you so much. And then you wrote, I live in Canada. Excellent. I'm from Mississauga. I was born in London, Ontario. Yeah. You wrote, I live in Canada, and I was wondering, do you think it'd be worth it to buy down in the United States and not in Canada? Yeah. Yes. Because I think the US dollar is going to strengthen for a couple of reasons. Number one is because, okay, I'll go there. So if there are mass deportations, right, within reason, and I'm not making political statements here, I'm just telling you like it is. If there are mass deportations in the United States, which Trump says he wants to do, then what that will do is it'll make labor prices go up. Okay, and the biggest input in any product or service you make is labor. Okay, so labor prices will go up, which will lead to inflation. How do you control inflation? You raise interest rates. Okay, so that means that the American dollar relative to the Canadian dollar will be worth more. So if you were to invest in American real estate, you know, not only will you make money because, you know, land goes up over time, but you'll also make money because of the currency fluctuation. Okay. Now, another reason why we might have inflation and higher interest rates in the United States is because of tariffs. Okay. Will they be 25% on everything? No. Will there be some? There will. As a result, it will be more expensive for consumers in the United States to buy some stuff. And that leads to inflation. And again, the only way to control inflation is to raise interest rates. Yeah. Now, before buying property in a foreign country, I want you to talk to your accountant and ask them if you can do it. And if so, is it tax beneficial? Yeah. Yeah. But if Canadian real estate gets destroyed, I'm going to be buying. Because you want to buy when everyone else is freaking out. And from one Canadian to another, I have to quote the great one, the greatest athlete of all time, Wayne Gretzky. And he said the reason he was humbly successful is not because he skated to where the puck is, but rather because he skated to where the puck is going to be. And by the same token, I want us to invest in stuff that people are going to like, right? And that's why day trading does not work. You got to be long-term focused and be a contrarian and buy when there's blood in the streets. And then Nick wrote, Chris, thank you for your answer. Here's my second question. Sure. With the rise of quantitative strategies and AI-driven models in hedge funds, where do you see the traditional long-short equity strategy heading. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is, so when ETFs were introduced and became very popular in the early 2000s, what happened was correlation between performance for a lot of funds kind of went up. Okay, a lot of them were correlated because they're investing more so in ETFs. And so I think that the correlation between performance in a lot of funds is going to be even more correlated in the future. They'll still underperform ETFs because of fees, but it'll be more correlated if they all use the same AI-based algorithms or quantitative investing strategies. Yeah, the more you invest in ETFs and less in single stocks, the more correlated your returns will be to the market in general. Yeah. When it comes to working at a hedge fund, I think there's going to be fewer analyst positions. So the way it works is hedge funds and mutual funds. There's usually a portfolio manager that manages the money. And the person and a lot of people report to that PM, portfolio manager, and those are analysts. And the analysts cover different sectors like retail, telecom, financial services, which are doing well because of deregulation under Trump now, healthcare, etc. I think what's going to happen is because of AI, you're going to need fewer analysts. So say an analyst that covered, one tech sector like semiconductor, and another analyst covered another tech sector like hardware. Only one analyst will cover that with the help of AI. Yeah. And a lot of repetitive tasks are going to be removed from the marketplace completely, jobs that is, because of AI. And so I want everybody here to think, how can I leverage AI to take advantage of it to help my career before it replaces us? And basically that means anything you do that's repetitive will be replaced by AI. Yeah. Disrupt yourself before the marketplace does. And that's what I'm doing right now with AI. So I'm working with a company. I signed an NDA here in the Bay Area. They're beta testing with me. It cost me nothing. For my courses to be in different languages. And so I have 7,000 hours of virtual instructor-led training on YouTube, unlisted videos for teaching my MBA students since I launched my MBA program 5 years ago. And so what this AI company here in the Bay Area did was they took all the 7,000 hours and it made versions of me teaching all my stuff, my many, many programs and courses in different languages. Yeah. That's coming soon. All right. And then you wrote here, you're worried about the Indian economy because of IT services. I wouldn't. Trump loves India, right? Everybody loves India. It's the world's biggest democracy. And I haven't heard Trump talk about tariffs on India. I haven't heard that at all. I wouldn't worry. All right. All right, next question is from Nick. And you'll see my voice is going. Whenever this happens, I feel like I'm on the Truman Show. I use this product here. And a lot of opera singers and rock stars use this as well. And get this, so that if you're about to go through an interview, you want to sound coherent. It's called Clear Voice. Just kidding. All right, my voice is back now. Great. All right, next question is, do you think discretionary long-short managers, and when Nick says long-short, he means traditional hedge funds, right? So long means like in football, American football, you buy a stock, and short is the opposite. You bet against a stock. That's what long-short means. So do you think discretionary long-short managers can still compete in the long term, or is the industry shifting predominantly towards quants? Yeah. I would say that hedge funds that are longer term focused, that are very large, will probably continue to do well longer term. And what I mean by that is funds like Tiger. So Julian Robertson, God bless him, passed away a couple of years ago, was a very wealthy and successful man from Virginia. And he started a hedge fund back in the 80s called Tiger. And one of the reasons Julian was successful was because his fund was long-term focused. I have a lot of friends that work there that left to start their own funds. And those are called Tiger Cubs, which is what I'm getting to, my point. So the Tiger Cubs, firms like Maverick, I think Tudor, Bluecrest, there's tons of them. They're successful because they're fundamental investors. They're long-term focused. They think of, 3 to 5 year bets, even though they might transact on a shorter term basis. The longer the view, the wiser the intention, as Mr. Buffett said. So I think any hedge fund that is long term focused will probably outperform. Yeah. And the reason that works is because when you forecast financial statements and you come up with, a price target on a company, if you forecast out 5 to 10 years, you really see the earnings power. And so, for example, when I worked in the hedge fund industry, I owned Amazon. It's a big position for me in my portfolio. And my competitors or other hedge funds would say, Chris, you're cray-cray. Why would you own Amazon? It trades at 100 times earnings. That's a widowmaker. And I would say, no, it trades at 5 times my earnings estimates in 5 years. And the beautiful way of investing long-term like that after you create your financial model is you can sleep at night because you tell yourself, I don't care about the path. All I care about is the destination. Makes you long-term focused. Otherwise, you make the cardinal sin of this. The New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Imagine that. We've all been there. Selling something because it's cheaper. Doesn't make sense, does it? Be long-term focused. And whenever Warren Buffett invests in stocks, whether it's Coca-Cola he bought around 1990, he still owns today, he always tells himself this. I'm assuming after I buy this stock that the market's going to be closed for 10 years. Of course, it won't be closed for 10 years, but you got to think that way. And that's why for many of us, the best investment we'll ever make is our house, real estate, because we're long-term focused on it. And we can't sell it because the fees are too high, real estate fees 5 to 10%, and it's a hassle. So we're stockholders. That's a good thing. Because if we could flip our house, we would if we freaked out when the economy is doing crap. We'd sell at the worst time. Real estate's a great investment because we're long-term focused. Same thing with stocks. And for me, whenever I'm not sure where to put my money, I just throw it in the VOO, ticker VOO. And that's an ETF for the S&P 500 where the fees are really, really low. Like you pay, 3 pennies per $100 in fees every year instead of 500 pennies per $100 for a mutual fund. And I think that the S&P 500, in my humble opinion, is going to be up between 15 and 20% for the next 2 decades. There will be big down years too, okay? On average, up 15 to 20%. And one of the reasons I say that is because I think the United States government is going to keep printing this stuff, right? And there's 40% more of this stuff today than there was when COVID began. It's a disaster. So what the United States government is basically indirectly telling you to do is don't keep your money in cash. Instead, buy stocks or real estate or whatever. You're going to do, and also another reason why I'm bullish on the S&P 500 longer term is because of AI. I think that a lot of companies are going to be leveraging artificial intelligence in order to, and they're already doing it, to materially cut expenses, meaning these 3 line items here: sales and marketing, R&D, and G&A. Anything repetitive is G&A. Cut. Okay. Research and development, it'll be subsidized and helped with AI models. Sales and marketing, indirect distribution at least, and for marketing campaigns, etc. AI. So if you get rid of all that stuff, I am exaggerating, right? The red stuff goes down and this stays the same or still grows. This goes up a lot, net income. That means earnings per share goes up a lot. Okay. Okay, next up, hey Luigi, how are you? And every time I see your name, I smile because my little sister Katie, who passed away this summer, I love you, I miss you so much. I hope you're hanging out with Grandpa now. I used to play on the 8-bit Nintendo back in the 80s, I think it was, yeah. And I was always Mario and she was always Luigi, yeah. Luigi, say it with love my heart, wrote, hey Chris, good day to you too. What do you think about the Canadian dollar? Right now, it's very weak compared to the US dollar. Do you think it'll continue to get weaker? Thank you. Yeah, I can never call stuff from day to day. And there's a brilliant Lebanese dude. I'm part Lebanese, proudly. And it's so nice to hear that the war is hopefully coming to an end. But Nassim Taleb, he wrote this great book called The Black Swan. And basically he stipulates that you cannot call the market from one day to the next, because certain events that you can't control or forecast, like the hopeful end in the war between Lebanon and Israel, that can cause markets, commodities, etc. to move. You can't focus on that stuff. So you got to be longer-term focused. So longer-term focused, yes, I think the US dollar will go up relative to the Canadian dollar. It's all relative. And it's because of inflation. I think we're going to have some inflation. I don't think it'll be out of control. But we're going to have more inflation than expected in the United States, to the extent that the Federal Reserve will have to start raising rates towards the end of next year. Okay? And if the market anticipates that the United States government, meaning the Federal Reserve, the manager of the store of money, is going to raise interest rates, then it's going to encourage more people to invest in US dollars because the interest rate is higher, and less so in the Canadian dollar. Everything is relative, right? Yeah. And I know it's scary for my Canadian friends with respect to what Trump is saying. But the one positive I can say, and I am going to get political here, it might encourage the Canadian government, oh, here I go, to be a little bit more fiscally responsible and business friendly and cut taxes, okay? Especially on businesses, so more jobs are created. Okay, and as I mentioned before, if I were in Canada, I may or may not wear a red hat right now that says, make Trudeau a drama teacher again. Yeah. I think a more conservative, relatively speaking, administration might be running the country a year or two from now. And in my humble opinion, that's a good thing for consumers and Canadians and taxes. And I believe in low taxes. I believe in small government, right? This whole Doge thing, I think, is a cool idea. My favorite president ever was Ronald Reagan, because he believed in small government. Yeah. The government works for you. Yeah. Not the other way around. And my political affiliation, you could probably refer to me as more of a libertarian. Yeah. Okay. And don't tell people your political affiliation on your LinkedIn profile. Like, don't follow politicians, because half the people will like you, the other half won't. I don't know what half. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, by the way, for your information, Trudeau made it legal to set up government departments to supply that product to people legally. How cool is that? Yeah, I'm against the legalization of marijuana, unless for medicinal purposes. And I know it's extreme, but I'll express my views. And I'm going to start getting more opinionated on these webcasts. I think that if weed is legal, okay, and a lot of people are going to hate me for this. If weed is legal, then people that do that, younger people, might be more inclined to experiment with coke, and not this kind here, and also experiment with fentanyl. Disaster. And that's why I love what the next administration in the United States is trying to do, which is obliterate people and organizations that import fentanyl or opioids to this country illegally. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Gaming Among Us wrote, what book should I read if I'm serious about becoming a trader or an investor full-time? Read every single book made by Nassim Taleb, okay? And a lot of the most sophisticated hedge funds quote this dude a lot, okay? Read The Black Swan. He's got tons of books as well. One's called Fooled by Randomness. He's got plenty of others. And read stuff by Malcolm Gladwell, too. Malcolm Gladwell, he's from Toronto, where I'm from, represent. Not really finance focused, but he encouraged you to think differently. Yeah. Especially his book, David and Goliath, which has nothing to do with religion, but he kind of helps you understand the best people to invest in. And when you invest in a company, you're investing in people. Yeah. Also, you can listen to an audiobook by Dale Carnegie if you want, called How to Win Friends and Influence People, because that will help you understand interpersonal relationships. It's an oldie but a goodie. It came out in the 1930s, but it's still relevant today because humanity has not changed since then, of course. Two other things you can do, which I told my son Andrew, he's currently third year at Berkeley, interviewing with investment banks now. In order to prepare for every day, this is exactly what I did this morning when I was in the shower. Okay, I do this every day, and it's free. Watch this. Alexa, Wall Street Journal news.
From the Wall Street Journal.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort.
Okay, you can whisper Alexa too, apparently. Doesn't always work. The second thing I want you to do is listen to Bloomberg every day. Okay, and the way you do that is you say this. Alexa, finance news today.
From Bloomberg.
News when you want it with Bloomberg.
Free. Do that instead of reading books because you learn from real world stuff. Books are quite theoretical. Yeah, and if you want a finance book, I have a finance book on Amazon, and it's called, Finance Essentials for Non-Managers. Let me see if I've got it here in my office. Aha, I got it. Give me a second. I can't find it, but I'll show you on Amazon here quickly. Yeah. Sorry for digressing. That's how messy my office is. At least I'm honest. Okay. So let's go to Chris Haroun. Okay. Finance Essentials, McGraw-Hill. So McGraw-Hill published this. Here it is here. Yeah. So it's a book by McGraw-Hill. You can actually buy it now at Barnes & Noble too, which is cool. But anyway, you can check that out. And I teach you everything about finance and accounting in that book. Okay, here we go. Barnes & Noble as well. It just came out. Yeah. All right. All right, next up here. Shock Rolla wrote, hey, Chris, I hope you're doing well. It's been, I think, about 6 months or so since I've seen you. Great to see you again. Jose, how are you? Jose graduated from my MBA program back in 2020. You're from Brooklyn, but Venezuela originally. You and your wife have a daughter. You started a payments company in Brooklyn, then you moved to Texas. You did offshore drilling stuff as well. Great to see you. And thank you for the Christmas gift you sent my family last year. So Jose wrote, hey, Chris, happy Thanksgiving. Same to you, brother. How's everything? Things are amazing. Thanks. Yeah. You wrote, what do you think about UAE, meaning Dubai real estate market and economics in general? What do you think about the country? God bless you. God bless you more, brother. Hope you and Sophia are doing well as well. Yeah. So I go to Dubai every now and then to raise capital. I have a lot of friends that work there as well. I would not invest in real estate there, though. And here's why. Number one, only 15% of people that live in Dubai are UAE nationals, meaning they have a passport. The other 85% there, they work for companies, right? A lot of them are expats. They pay hardly any taxes, which is cool for them. However, if they start a company, the 85%, and they fail, there's a good chance they're kicked out of the country. So risk taking is not encouraged. Also, you have significant geopolitical risks given where it's located for obvious reasons. I don't have to go into more detail on that either. Yeah. So I think you're better off, and I know you're based in Texas now, you're better off investing in real estate in the United States. And what you can even do in Texas, I own a lot of land in Texas, but it was cheap for me to do because I gave up the mineral rights to it. So if oil is found on the land, I don't get it, but I get the land. And you want to buy land because they're not making it anymore. And Jose, what you can always do is go to the very last lecture of the MBA curriculum, and then you'll see the real estate elective and take that. Yeah. Great to see you, and God bless you, man. Okay, next up, Caroline from France originally wrote, what is your favorite video editing software? Yeah, my favorite is Final Cut, right? So my videos, whenever you see long form videos, my billions ones, I record that and edit it and script it, everything myself, and I love it. It's fun. But whenever I use software, I have fun with it, and I feel like I'm a painter, right? And I get to be creative. It's kind of like when you create a presentation at PowerPoint. you can be creative. Anytime you can be creative in business, it's more fun. You can express yourself and think differently and talk differently and sell differently. So my favorite software product that I enjoy using for video editing would be Final Cut Pro. And I use it on a Mac. And what I would do is if you have a Mac, which I love, right? I've got Windows too. But if you have a Mac, start with iMovie, okay, which is free and it's included for free. And then what you can do is you can graduate and move up to Final Cut with a free trial from Apple first. Yeah. All right. Cool. We don't have that much time left. A quick announcement again today. I'm not going to be doing the weekly silver office hour Zoom call at 10 because I'm going to my wife's family's house in San Jose for Thanksgiving. Then I'm back at work tomorrow morning because I love it. All right, next up, Theodore wrote, first time I've seen you on the call, I hope you join us again. So Theodore wrote, hey, Chris, there is a company in Vienna that sells already managed flats with tenants already in them. They help get all the financing done and everything. Sounds good, too good to be true. Any thoughts? Yeah. So the best way to analyze that company or any company when it comes to real estate is to write a thorough business plan. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the very last lecture of the MBA program. And then you're going to go to the real estate elective, which is free for my MBA students. Okay. And then here, you're going to type in Vienna and the city of Vienna as well and write a massive business plan. And all this is created for you automatically. Okay. You can print out as well, everything. Okay. All this stuff, right? So all this stuff is linked somewhere else in the spreadsheet. And so when you print out and let me close this because I don't want to share any customer data by accident. Yeah. And when you print that out, it's going to look like this here. All right. Real estate business plan. Okay. And I cover every single pro and con, everything you can possibly think about, every single mortgage payment. And I teach you how mortgage payments are calculated, et cetera, all the financial ratios and all that stuff. It works in every single country. And if you're in one of my MBA programs and on one of our Zoom calls, you can always ask me about looking at that business model for you. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Ziad. Ziad wrote, Chris, what's your view on the current Adani situation? I don't know what that means. Let me go here. Adani. Oh, yeah. There's some kind of, unethical business practice. I haven't looked at it. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah. Now, if I was in an interviewing for a job, I would say exactly this. I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And then at night, when I'm sending the thank you in mail to the person I interviewed with, I would say, thanks a lot for your time today. I enjoyed our conversation. In terms of your question on the Adani Group, I did a little bit of research and here are my humble thoughts. Boom, 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 boom. Thanks and have a great weekend. Okay. And when I was in the training program at Goldman Sachs 8 million years ago, the associate training program back starting in August of 2000, they taught us that as well. If you don't know the answer, you always say this. I don't know, but I'll find out. Yeah. Quick side note, if you work for somebody, anybody, and they give you something to do, if you're younger, and you're like, well, I don't know, well, when does this do? Always say this. Thank you. Please let me know when you need this by. And whatever date they tell you, you deliver it a day or two before. Yeah. All right. And a way to not get fired, okay, and a way to get promoted is to do the following. Every 3 months, sit down with your boss and ask your boss one-on-one for feedback. And what can you're really happy at the company if true, and what additional value can you add in order to get considered for a promotion? And they'll tell you. And that way, the likelihood of you getting fired goes down materially. Now, the way to get promoted is as follows. Okay, you probably all work with people that have gotten promoted faster than you. And you're like, WTF, why the face? This is not fair. Well, when we're younger and we're in school, if we keep our head down, we do really well and we get good grades. Our parents are proud of us. Our teachers are cool to us. We're happy. Life is good. Then you join the real world and you start working. And you keep your head down, you work hard, and you think you'll get noticed. And you look around, you're like, what the hell, man? All these other people are getting promoted faster than me. That's not fair. Do you know why they're getting promoted? Because they ask. And they always do it behind closed doors. You'll never know. Anybody that's a vice president or above in a company has asked many times to get promoted. And there's tactful ways to do it as well. Remember, closed mouths don't get fed. So here's how you do it. Let's say your boss comes up to you and says, John, great job on this project, yada, yada. And they're in a good mood. You say, thank you. Do you have time for a coffee? And then you sit down with them. Okay. And during that coffee meeting, you start with this, if true. You know, I really enjoy what we're doing, and our team has accomplished a lot. I think we have, a great future ahead of us, yada, yada, whatever. Then you say this. As you know, it's very expensive to raise a family. You don't have to bring this with you. Like, you don't have to go like that. As you know, it's very expensive to raise a family here in the Bay Area. And I want to provide the best standard of living for my family as possible. And as a result, I want to humbly ask you, please, what do I need to accomplish? Meaning, what additional value do I need to add to our team in order to get considered for a promotion or a raise? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you. And you write everything down. Bring a notebook, not your iPhone or Android handset. You write everything down, okay? And then you thank them for their time. And, at the end of the meeting, this is really important. Don't forget this. When the bill comes for the coffee, I want you to go like this, okay? Oh, I have alligator hands. I can't find my wallet. T-Rex can't do push-ups. No. Laugh at me. No, not with me, please. Then what you do is 6 months later, when your boss congratulates you on a job well done, again, what you do is this. You say, thank you. Do you have time for a meeting? And you sit down with them again. And you say, we met 6 months ago, and I remember talking to you about how expensive it is to raise a family in the Bay Area, whatever. And I asked you for the criteria to getting considered humbly for a promotion or a raise. And we discussed these 5 items. And I'm humbled to say, that's what you say before you're about to brag. I'm humbled to say that I fulfilled all these 5 criteria, and I can go through them if you want to. And I'd like to please ask you to be considered for a promotion or a raise. Okay? You have to ask multiple times, like a kid who keeps asking for candy over and over and over again. They're relentless. You got to be the same way when it comes to your career. And if you don't do what I'm saying, you're hurting your family. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. This works. Tons of my students have done this and materially increased their standard of living. You have to do the same thing. You're a salesperson for the rest of your life. So sell yourself. And if you don't remind people of your accomplishments, they'll never know. Okay, it's trench warfare in big companies. I say it with love in my heart. I know it's a harsh thing to say. But other people are doing this in your company. You have to do the same thing. You have to ask for a raise. Yeah. It's like asking for the sale. Okay. All right. And then Fernando wrote here, with the incredible value that you provide, thank you. It is shocking that you are under 100,000 subs on YouTube. You're at 1+ million in my book. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. A couple of reasons why I'm not. Number one, I don't sell out. Okay. I don't take sponsors. I took one sponsor about a month ago for the first time ever, and I'm in the process of getting rid of that now. I don't take any sponsors. I speak my mind. I speak my mind to the extent that I put my customers first, the students, never money. And does it hurt my growth? Yes. Do I care? No. Do you want an example? I'll give you one. So a couple of years ago, and this is going to hurt my growth in real time on this on YouTube, but I don't care. A couple of years ago, during the pandemic, one of my students came onto a call, okay, and just expressed his opinion on why, and he's a doctor, okay, a very accomplished doctor, and expressed his opinions on why he doesn't believe in vaccination. Now, I've been vaccinated, but I just listened to his opinion. I was like, okay, whatever. Then we moved on and talked about something else. I got a warning from YouTube saying, we're giving you a warning, not a strike, but we're giving you a warning about what occurred in that call. And we're calling it medical, I don't know, disinformation or I don't even know what it was. And they gave me a warning. They said, if it happens again, you're going to get a strike. And I was like, earmuffs time. I was like, fuck you. Really? For somebody expressing an opinion? Are you really going to do that? And I realized at that point that social media is not a government thing. A government thing is usually freedom of speech. It's a beautiful right. But social media platforms are not like that. So anyway, now you probably understand why Elon bought Twitter. God bless him for that. That's one of the reasons. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm probably going to get a strike for that, for expressing my mind. Yeah. All right. Next up, Chuck Rollo wrote, I'm going to start creating YouTube videos for the first time. They're going to be vlogs, storytelling, and all that stuff. How do I get the nervousness of posting the first video and then go ahead? Oh, I love it. Okay. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So I'm going to take a step while we walk through this, okay? So if you look at the first videos for Marcus Brownlee, who's my favorite vlogger, okay, or Gary Vaynerchuk, the quality isn't that great. Or if you search for older videos by Chris Haroun, they're not that great. You just got to put something out there and be consistent, okay? Like me, I'm consistently bad, but I'm consistent. This is my 297th weekly webcast. Be consistent. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and don't give a damn what people think of you. I certainly don't. So what I want you to think of is this, okay? So we're going to draw a chart together. It's going to change your life. All right. I'll draw it on the back of this here. Okay. So on this axis here is your age, okay? This is going to change your life, this chart. This is your age. On this axis is give a damn, okay? When you're younger, you're down here. You have meltdowns in a restaurant. You don't give a damn what people think of you. When you're old, like me, older people, you don't give a damn. You're down here as well. The problem is when you're a teenager, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, quite often you're up here. You care what people think of you. And this is a dangerous place to live, guys. And I call this the triangle of despair. And you got to live at this level, man, down here, and not care what people think of you. Elon Musk and all the greats, they live at this level right here. They don't care what people think. I want you to be the same way. I don't want you to care. And Reid Hoffman, who is the brilliant co-founder of LinkedIn and a venture capitalist at Greylock now, he once said, if you release your product when it's ready, you've missed the market. And Salvador Dali said, great artist, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. So good enough is good enough. Just get it out there. Don't be perfect. Don't ever try to be perfect. Otherwise, you're hurting yourself. And the way it's going to work with social media in general is I want you to think of helping people, okay? Kind of like what the crux of this book is. Each one of your social media products or videos, whatever it is going to help people. I don't know how, but it's going to help people. And experiment, because the market will guide you. So for me, initially, when I first started making social media stuff, right, what I did was I just talked about finance. Because I thought, I don't know, people thought Chris Haroun worked in finance, venture capital, whatever, teach me about, I don't know, finance stuff. And every now and then I'd experiment and just go off script and talk about personal growth stuff. And the comments were like, hey, I kind of like this. Let the market guide you, okay? Let the market guide you. And people say fake it till you make it. I don't know if I agree with that. But the way that you're going to be become a thought leader is if you think like one, like the Rodin sculpture. I think, therefore I am. Eventually, if you create enough content, you will be thought of as a thought leader. And eventually the media will come to you and interview you and ask your thoughts. And that's happened to me a lot as well, because I'm relentless and consistent. Maybe consistently bad, but I'm consistent. Just keep at it. And always think about repurposing your content as well, please. What does that mean? Well, what you can do is you can write one article every single week on LinkedIn. And then you can take all those articles, like I did, and repurpose it into a book. I'm not here to sell my book, but you repurpose it into a book. Okay? You're working smarter, not harder. And each chapter, you repurpose that into a YouTube video. There's your script right there. And the longer form YouTube videos, you repurpose into YouTube Shorts or TikToks or Instagrams, whatever. In fact, the 7 best questions asked on this webcast every week, what my team does, my contractors that I've worked with for years. Jean-Marco Lubiana, for example, in Woodbridge, Ontario, Canada, he's great. What he'll do is he'll create smaller videos, and that's called micro content. He'll repurpose it. That's how you work smarter and not harder. Yeah. All right. I'm getting opinionated this week. If I'm too opinionated for you guys, let me know. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and transparency builds trust. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Next up, Theodore. Oh, thank you for that donation of €2. Appreciate it. You wrote, watching your AI for finance courses to me. Thank you so much. And that money that you just provided me with is going to go directly to the schools I build. So the profits from what I do go towards building schools. I was in Kenya a month or so ago, and we're building our next school here. And I got a great board here, including one of my students' fathers who came to the United States in the 1960s on a scholarship from Kenya and saw Dr. Martin Luther King give the I Have a Dream speech. And then we finished off our building our school in Rwanda last year. My goal is to build 1,000 of these things. I just lost 10 viewers, but I don't care. Okay. I do care. I love you guys. Okay. Next up, Jose wrote, hey, Chris, what are the 3 main features you love about GoHighLevel? Yeah, GoHighLevel, for those who are not familiar with it, GHL, is a CRM product. It'll allow you to, keep track of all your customers, emails, and stuff. What I love about it is the simplicity, number 1. Okay. Number 2, what I love about it is it integrates with all of your other products, call it Calendly, whatever it is. Number 3 is the price. It's much cheaper than active campaign. Yeah. All right, moving on to Manas, who wrote, what are your thoughts on Temu and AliExpress with a tariff issue in place? Yeah, any Chinese company, I would be a little bit worried, more so worried about China than the United States and Mexican companies when it comes to tariffs. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, there's already a lot of tariffs on Chinese products, right? It's nothing new. So there's tariffs of 25% on tons of Chinese products right now. But increasing another 10%, yeah, it's going to move the needle, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Yeah. And again, I think that Trump is posturing. He's asking for this when he'll really accept this. Yeah. And what I love about this, again, as I mentioned earlier, because I've had close people to me that I love very much that have died from opioids, fentanyl, and stuff. I love that he's trying to stop the illegal importation of fentanyl and opioids. Yeah, that's a good thing. Everybody wins. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Rob wrote, hey, Chris, I recently discovered your channel. Thank you. Which of your courses would you recommend me to improve my investment analysis skills, not pursuing a career in it, just looking to make better investments? Yeah. So I've showed a bunch of templates today. What I recommend doing is, and you can get 25% off today. It's Black Friday and all that stuff. Just go to learn.harounventures.com. And this code here, you're going to enter at checkout. I recommend this one. Okay. This one here involves, I think it's 500 hours, but it's like, and you can do monthly. Alexa, please stop. You can do monthly payments if you want, but 100 of the 500 hours here is finance stuff where I teach you how to invest in most major asset classes, stocks, real estate, etc. And this is included for free in this. Yeah. Okay. And I will have to wrap this up in a second, guys. And I apologize. And for those of you, if I don't answer your questions, just save them and ask me next week if you want. Yeah. All right. And then Shakarolo, with respect to the how should I start vlogging when people care about me comment, wrote, thank you so much, Chris, for great insights. I'll strive for consistency without giving a damn. Yeah, right back at you, brother. Yeah. You have to tell yourself you don't care. And it's the same thing, like telling yourself you don't care is indirectly telling yourself, I'm going to be more confident. Because as Les Brown said, someone else's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Why do we waste so much time thinking about what others think of us? Who cares? Who cares? And, you know, it was Winston Churchill who once said, I once met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. Don't care what people think of you. And before you go to your next job interview, I want you to tell yourself that right before it starts. I don't give a damn how this goes. I'm not telling you to be rude or disingenuous. I'm just telling you to be you. Because you got this far in life and everybody loves you for just being you. So be you. It's easier that way, right? The same thing with a speech. Right before the speech starts, if you're getting nervous, which you shouldn't, you tell yourself, I don't give a darn how this, I just don't care. I'm going to pretend the audience is my mom, my dad, my great aunt, great uncle who I love so much. I just don't care. I'm just going to be me. And you know what, dude? When you're on stage presenting, like if you ever watch somebody on stage presenting and they make a mistake, you love them. You love them more because they're real. They're being themselves. So don't worry. And because I am grateful, and today is Thanksgiving, I'm grateful to God. And I'm going to share some insight into my religious views. And I don't care what religion people are. I think if we worry too much about what's going to happen next in our career, we're questioning our faith. And we shouldn't do that. Because everything happens for a reason. God already knows what's going to happen. Don't worry. Hakuna Matata, which is Swahili from Kenya, where I was, for don't worry. Yeah. And the Lion King was actually based on the Great Migration that occurs every year when all the animals move to another location in Kenya. I learned that in my recent Kenya trip. Okay. I also learned that my awful dad humor it's just universal. It doesn't work in any culture. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to go a bit over time today. I know we're supposed to end right at 10, but I'm going to do a little bit more because I want to answer all these questions. And this is fun. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. ESW wrote a question here. I have a thought on. I'm passionate about advancing education within AI. I've seen a school that relies heavily on AI, even without having any teachers. I don't have the software for this. What do I do? Yeah. You're going to have to share what company that is. But I really believe in working smarter and not harder when leveraging AI. Okay. And it's not going to cost you a fortune. And a lot of AI products you can subscribe to for free or 10 or 20 bucks a month are all based on ChatGPT, okay, or OpenAI. And I'm going to show you an example. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go over here to, let's go here. I'll go to my courses here. Okay. So down here in the corner, you see this here? This here is how I do customer support. And people will ask questions. Okay. And what they can do is they can ask questions in here. And this is just one of my previous questions. And I built this, right? This cost me 20 bucks a month. Okay. And you work smarter, not harder by using someone else's IP. Okay. So I use Alexa, stop. So I use Chatbase, okay, and this is based on OpenAI, okay. So let me show you how this works, okay. And this is a simplistic example. So right here, this is my chatbot. So I set it up this way. It's really, really easy. In terms of sources, my sources for the chats, my large language model, is the closed captions from a lot of the lectures in my courses, okay, tons of them, several thousand actually 10 million characters. And then also, you know, my networking book, this one here you can download is in here as well. What else did I feed into this monster? Tons of website links as well. Oh yeah, an entire MBA book, tons and tons of stuff. Okay, this all feeds into my large language model. Okay, on Chatbase, $20 a month, not bad, eh? It's endless. Look at all this stuff. Okay, all right, and then just Q&A stuff here, bunch of website links. It crawls down here. Okay, and that's it. And then all you do, it's really easy. All you do is you copy this code here and you put that on your website, right? You insert code and boom, you've got a chatbot on your website. And of course you can design the way it looks, etc. Here in all that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty simplistic. That is an example of using AI the smart way. Yeah. But be careful because AI is not perfect, right? So if it can't answer a question, well, first of all, it tells you this is an AI bot. And secondly, it says if we can't answer the question for you, then what you can do is just, you know, send an email to support@harounventures.com. And if anybody wants to, I don't know, if anybody wants to talk about joining one of my programs, I love talking to my students. What you can always do is exactly this, okay? Go to harounmba.com. And there's a blue button down here that I'm covering up. Click on that and set up a Zoom call with me. I'm here to help you. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. And by the way, for these calls, what I used to do in the old days was I would never end these weekly calls until there were no more questions. Of course, I do have to end it at some point today. But I'll give you an example. If you go to my website, I once did one 12 hours in a row without leaving. It was cray. Yeah. And it was back, I think it was Halloween 2020 or so. And this is over the years. You'll see I age over the years. These are the older ones. Look here. Okay. All right. Oh, this is where I met Kemi. Actually, Kemi is one of my students. We're building a school for her family in honor of her mother. In Nigeria starting next year. And I actually met Kemi Tade and her wonderful husband and her 2 children, boy and a girl now, at my house. And I introduced them to my parents during the summer. Yeah. But if you go back to the early days when look how much younger I looked. But there is a webcast I had. It was, I think it was October of 2000. It was Halloween 2020 or 2021. And that's my son Dylan here. And Dylan used to walk into the office at the end of the webcast so I could end it at least, right? Yeah. But I did one here that was insanely long. And I know I've lost viewers, but it's okay. I'm going to get to the point in a second. Give me a second here. And you can always watch this old stuff here as well. Yeah. So I had one that was 2000, I think it was here. Yeah. Look at this, weekly office hours. I made it into a news show for a while as well. And I did this one from Rwanda. I remember that. Yeah, it was so much fun. And this is bad hairdo Chris days before I used to go to professional to get it done. There's one here. I think it's right here. Hold on a second. Oh, it's killing me. It's killing me. There was one where it lasted like 12 hours. It was around Thanksgiving. All right. I'm going to stop wasting your time, get back to answering questions before I wrap up this call. Okay. All right. And I'm going to get my exercise in for the last bit of this call, if you guys don't mind. All right. So the next question I've got here is, Kamalesh wrote, following up with my first question, I'm a bit confused about how to apply the values based on your Udemy course, Business Plan 50 Templates, to the SaaS subscription model in step 12. Yeah, I can't remember what step 12 is, but if you that course I made 2018, I have a brand new way to help you create a business plan with a new spreadsheet that you can get by clicking the link below in my silver MBA degree program. Yeah. All right. And if you have questions about Excel Hell, I also teach in my MBA program how to use Excel from scratch. All right. And let me move on here. Yeah, and yeah, in order to understand how to create a business plan for a subscription-based business model, again, just buy my silver MBA degree program. Okay, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like it, and I help with that in my MBA program. And all the stuff in my MBA program is not available anywhere else, just my website. Yeah. Okay. And thank you for that comment about the course. And yeah, thank you for that comment. Okay. And then Jose wrote, I'm an expert in cold calling. Chris, I've been doing it for many years. I would suggest start with empathy and curiosity. Interesting. Focus on conversation, not a script. Be honest about your intention. Yeah, you're right. Just be you, because everybody else is taken. Yeah. All right. And whenever I do television interviews, there's always somebody that, because there's bright lights, that puts this stuff on you. So I'm starting to shine, which makes you look nervous. My wife taught me how to do this. We went to a store called Sephora. Maybe I'm beautiful. Maybe it's Maybelline. I hope people understood that joke. I'm dating myself. All right. Screw it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going until my son Andrew comes, because I promised him I'd work out with him in the gym in my garage before we go. Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. Super Foxfly wrote, how do you correct your own shortcomings and problems with your performance without being too self-critical? Yeah. I mean, goal setting is important, and being self-critical is okay. But don't ever be too self-critical to the extent that it hurts your confidence, right? And focus on what you can change only. Yeah. And if you're managing anybody, I always recommend praising in public and criticizing in private. And there's nothing wrong with asking your boss for feedback one-on-one. Yeah. So you can improve and get promoted and all that good stuff. All right. Next up, Spada Lance wrote, hey, Chris, when does the Black Friday sale end? I think it's December 3rd at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah. So you don't have to buy it today. You have time. And that's 25% off, yeah. And then you wrote, what's the difference between the gold and silver MBA program? And will we have access and possibly add to the Excel showcase? Yeah, you have access to everything I've ever made and will make, okay, with that one-time payment. And that's just for gold, silver, platinum, diamond MBA pro. Let me show you here quickly, okay? And if this walking is driving anybody crazy, let me know. I'll stop the walking. I just want to get some exercise in, warm up before I do weights with my son in the garage. All right, let's go here. Okay, so go to harounmba.com, then MBA FAQs, okay? And I'll show you the difference. Okay. And again, at checkout for these three products, you can put in that discount code Black Friday 24 to get 25% off. Not my diamond. I never discount my diamond. Never will. Okay, so all these programs contain the same 500 hours roughly of content, okay? The difference, and you can always click to see what the curriculum is here. The difference between these four products is as follows. You can start all the products right now. Watch all the lectures online like Netflix, whenever you want. This one, in terms of access to me, there is a weekly call every Thursday, but not this Thursday because of Thanksgiving, from 10 a.m. Pacific time till 11. Okay, and that's a Zoom call, right? And there's payment plans for everything too. The gold and platinum programs, I teach them live. And by live, I mean I play a lecture, then I take questions. right? For a couple hours and this is going to be our 10th one-year program. And that's starting on Monday, January 27th, both of these. And it's going to be every Monday and Tuesday starting January 27th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And that will last 1 year. And I answer questions live. Now, the platinum is like gold, but you also get 3 hours of one-on-one calls with me on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Thursdays. Okay, those are 20-minute slots. Now, the Diamond program is the same as these, except you get 20 hours of one-on-ones with me. It's personal, confidential mentoring with me from Mondays through Saturdays for 20-minute slots or 5-hour slots, whatever you want. It's 20 hours, which you can use within a couple of years if you want. Okay? Money back guarantee with every product. If you're interested in this one here, the Diamond, or any of these products, book a call with me. I'm happy to go through it. This is personal mentoring by me. No, not anybody on my team, me. Okay, let me go back here now. Okay. All right, next question I've got here. All right. Okay. And then Aporia wrote, I use a straw with my coffee because my stomach is basically a push broom. Oh, interesting. It slows you down. Fascinating. Yeah. This is my first meal of the day. My second meal is this. Every Sunday I make 7 of these things. It's pressed juice. I make myself kale and every antioxidant you can think of. And in order to increase my confidence on this call, I drink a whole thing of vodka. Just kidding. I'm kidding. It's gin. No. But I drink it and I'm behind schedule. I'm supposed to be at 10. I'm only at 8 a.m. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Superfly Fox wrote, I'm a young surgeon. Awesome. Awesome. I went to meet various observations of famous surgeons in the United States to learn their techniques, but at the same time to network for a future job. I love it. I love it. And one of my students did what you're trying to do. His name is Dr. Mark Vincent Besa. He was from my program 2019. Let me show you what he did. So he leveraged the stuff I taught in the MBA program to be able to network. And then he ended up leaving. Let me see if I can find it here. Mark Besa. Here he is here. Yeah. He ended up leaving, learning what he learned in the program. He ended up leaving the Philippines, networking and getting a job in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Right. And so reach out to him if you want and ask him questions about the MBA program, if you want to. And take a screen print of this. Dr. Mark Vincent Besa. Yeah. Yeah. And he actually what he also did was he wrote a lot of social media content. And then the World Health Organization reached out to him and offered him a job at that point in time in Somalia. He said no to that. But the stuff I teach humbly works. Yeah. Okay. Jason wrote, good morning all. Good to see you, man. Don't mess with Texas. Hope you're doing well. And then Trading wrote, just started your complete financial analyst training and investing course. What year did you record this, boss? Yeah, thanks. That was back in 2017. Yeah. Yeah. But if you watch my MBA degree program, it's up to date. Yeah, compared to that. Yeah. And in more detail. And with a lot more templates to download. Yeah. And my MBA program is only available on my website. Okay. Superfly Fox wrote, I want to learn, and I'm asking lots of questions about everything they do, meaning surgeons in other countries in the United States. But how do I come across as someone they would like to hire in the future and not come across as lacking knowledge? Yeah. So before you go into any meeting, I always want you to think preemptively, what value can you add? How can you help them? Right? And usually people are motivated by 3 things. They want to make more money, they want to get promoted, and they want to enjoy what they do. So think about ways to help them with their career. You know, I don't know much about surgery, but what I would probably do is a lot of research on AI products that can help surgeons or help doctors. Maybe do research on ticker ISRG. which is intuitive surgical, and offer your thoughts on that. Have a conversation about that. Teach them something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that reminds me of a company I'm on the board of. I'm very proud of. It's called Doctors Without Degrees. Yeah. That was a joke I got from Zach Galifianakis in Between Two Ferns. That's one of my favorite YouTube shows, especially the interview with Obama. Okay. All right. And then Super Foxfly wrote, I have a new job where I travel 3 hours twice a week, with the last hour being on a single lane road that is easy to drive, especially in the snow. I need a car, but being pulled by a fancy car, how can I control myself to choose the not so attractive car like a Hyundai? Very simple. Go to Excel and figure out what the future value is of a car that's more expensive. Okay, so instead of buying, I don't know, BMW or Mercedes, for 80 grand or whatever it is, if you buy a $20,000 Hyundai, I'm going to make this up, you save 60 grand. So what you do is you take $60,000 at a 10% return. In 1 year, that's 66,000. Okay, 2 years from now, it's going to be 66,000 times 1.1. Okay, another 10% higher. Keep doing that, and you'll see that that's many millions of dollars in the long run. Yeah, and the first inhabitants of the United States sold the island of Manhattan to the U.S. government. Manhattan is New York City, you know. They sold it to U.S. government for $24. And people say, oh my gosh, what a ripoff. Not really. If that money, $24, had been put in a bank account in the 1600s, with compound interest today, it would be worth more than all the land on Manhattan, every car on Manhattan, every building on Manhattan, and probably a net worth of almost everybody on Manhattan. Time value of money really adds up. The United States, one of the ways they expanded west was through what's called the Louisiana Purchase, where they bought a bunch of land from the French government for $15 million. You're like, oh my gosh, what a bargain. Well, if you put that $15 million in the bank back then when they bought it, using a 10% annual return, or even less than that, doesn't matter. That today would be worth more than everything on this planet. The same thing with Alaska. When the United States government paid 2 pennies per acre to buy Alaska from Russia. Yeah. And one of the reasons they bought Alaska is because they were worried about the British controlling Canada and the rest of North America. They want, anyway. All right, let me go here to the next one. Manas wrote, BYD, which is electronic vehicle car in China, which the Canadian government put 100% tariffs on recently before the election. BYD is going to be down for short term now. What about Tesla's Gigafactory in China? Will Chinese keep mum after the tariff? Even if it's 20%, only will Tesla be affected indirectly. Oh, there will be counter-tariffs for sure from China. For sure. But you'll notice that Elon Musk, so he's very controversial, right? And he speaks his mind, but not about China. And we know that Elon Musk, he bought Twitter because he cares about freedom of speech, and I love him for that. But he doesn't really make too many comments about the antithesis of freedom of speech, which is communist countries. Yeah. He's no dummy. All right. And then you wrote, thank you for everything. God bless you and your family. Thank you. And you all forever. Let Haroun Education Ventures family prosper forever and ever and ever. I'll always be there, even when you're 150 and using a cane to do a webcast. Dude, I'm going to be doing this till the day I die. Yeah. No, I love this. Yeah. Okay. And then Vinny wrote, LOL, Molson Muscle for sure. You haven't heard that in a while. Yeah. That I dated myself. Yeah. Somebody on this webcast before, I think it was ESG, mentioned he has an 8-pack. I've got a Molson Muscle. No. I do have a Molson Muscle. Okay. And you're most welcome, Anas. God bless you. And then Nick wrote, thanks for your time and answering my questions. Yeah, you mentioned networking like crazy to get a job anywhere. I already began your approach and it's really working. 4 meetings secured already. Excellent, excellent. Asking you will receive is prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Networking is the answer. The earlier we learn this in our lives, the better, right? Just people want to help you if you ask. Okay. And then you wrote here, I don't know why I didn't think of that approach before, but it's super powerful and simple at the same time. You're a great mentor. Thank you. When one teaches to learn. Yeah. And the reason I do what I do, and the reason why I wrote this book when I worked in venture capital is, and Forbes humbly called this book one of 6 books all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book, Simon Sinek, and all these other people. Shameless plug. But when I went to business school and I graduated from Columbia in New York City with an MBA in finance back in the year 2000, I'm dating myself. I was really frustrated because when I worked at Goldman Sachs, myself and my buddies that went to Columbia and Harvard Business School, we all found out that the most important skills in business, they don't teach us. They don't teach you in business school how to sell. They don't, that's important in business, right? They don't teach you how to network. That's important in business. They don't teach you how to present. They don't teach you how to manage your own money. That's right. They teach you how to manage other people's money. Like ask anybody in business school, how does a mortgage work? I don't know. They don't teach you the most important skill. And they teach you stuff that was relevant maybe last century. And it's theoretical crap. Like supply and demand graphs. Like you're never going to use that in the real world unless you're an economist. In which case you're going to make bad predictions anyway. Yeah. So the most important skills they don't teach you in business school. That's why I do what I do. Everything I teach you is practical, something you can apply immediately. And that's why I humbly have more than 2 million courses have been sold. And I think I probably have over 2 million students by now in every single country in the world. It works. It's all practical stuff, no theory. Yeah. Okay. All right. And if you want to learn more, and again, my stuff is on sale today because of Black Friday. You can always go to learn.harounventures.com. And when you're here, just click here on silver. Okay. And you can learn a lot more. Just you can look through the entire curriculum, watch sample lectures, all that stuff, the FAQs, and then down here, you can get 12 payments, $99 a month if you want. Click here. And then at checkout, what you do is you just enter in that code, which I'm going to show you very, very quickly. Okay. So the coupon code, let's see here, Black Friday, all in caps, right? Black Friday 24. Apply. Okay. And yeah. So for $74.25 a month for 12 payments, you can cancel anytime. You get 30-day money back guarantee. You're going to learn more than what you'll ever learn in business school. And we have tons of students from top 10 MBA programs that say they learn more in the first 30 days of my program than they did in their $100,000 MBA. It's a no-brainer. I'm here to humbly help you. Yeah. Okay. Moving on with the infomercial. Okay. Hey, John, how are you? John is from Rochester, I believe. Yeah, John was one of my students, and I put an ad up years ago on my website saying I was hiring somebody. And John is brilliant. John Clay. He's brilliant. And what he does is every week when you watch if you watch the replay of this webcast and you click on the description and you see all the questions, right? And you can click to go immediately to a question. He does that and he's great at it. He's incredible. Love you, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving and all the best to you and your family. And I appreciate everything you do. Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations on that email I just sent you to. You wrote, what are the best AI side hustles? Ooh. I would say probably consulting. So there's over 100,000 consulting firms in North America. The startup costs are zero. It's really easy to start your own consulting firm. And you can do AI consulting. What that would entail is You'll teach companies how to leverage AI products in order to cut expenses. Yeah. And if you want, I have a couple of AI courses that are free for my MBA students. So go into your MBA curriculum, and everybody in this webcast that's a student, go to the very last lecture of your MBA curriculum. And one of the 8 electives I've recently added, or 2 of the 8 are AI classes, courses that will help with that. Yeah. Okay. And then Manas, right? Okay, I gotta run. I'll watch the remaining webcasts later. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and stay blessed forever. See you next week, and forever you too. Thank you. Okay. And then Craig wrote here, how does one identify business problems and the market that benefits from them? Yeah. So what I usually do when I think of ideas, and I've got contractors starting to work here, so I'll talk to them while I'm with you in real time. But what I usually do is when I look at an investment idea, I ask myself this question. Is the company or the sector it's in going to be more relevant or less relevant in 5 years than it is today? And I usually look at a sector that has not yet been disrupted. So for example, the taxi sector has been disrupted, by software, Uber, Pink Mustache, etc., all the others. That was a senior moment. I can't remember Pink Mustache's real name. Yeah. So think about a sector has not been disrupted yet. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I just want to see the guys working here. I'm building out my deck. We planted another 10 redwoods here. And they're building out the deck. In order to show you my deck, what I'll do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, the exposure. Okay, give me a second. You got it. Okay. All right, good to go. You'll notice it's dark because I lowered the exposure. And the way you know you have the right exposure, I'm going to show you guys how to do this, is you turn on this Ghostbusters thing. You'll see this sometimes, okay? And then here above my face, I have to go to the ISO up 8. I remember that. But above my face, it should say 80. Right there, it's 40. So, and the human eye cannot ever forecast this stuff. So I'm going to go, let's see here. Is that right? Yeah, 80. I like it slightly under 80. Okay, we're good to go. All right, let me get to the next question here. Multitasking. Go back to this angle now. All right. Where's Andrew? He's supposed to come to tell me to work out. Okay. And then Kamalesh wrote, thanks for your valuable input. You're most welcome. Quick question, sure. How big should the total addressable market be in order to make sure the business idea is great? Yeah, so at least $20 billion. Okay, and the reason I say that is because in the highly unlikely event that a company gets 5% share of a market that's $20 billion, that means $1 billion in annual revenue. Yeah, and you might say, well, Chris, the market doesn't exist yet. No, it does. You just think about it differently. So for example, going back to our Uber example, Lyft is Pink Mustache, I remember now. Going back to our Uber example, when Uber was founded, people might have said, well, the market doesn't exist. It does. But you have to look at the old school market that's yet to be disrupted. In that case, it was the global taxi medallion market, which was massive. Yeah. Okay, and always think about markets that have yet to be disrupted. Okay. And I know some people are on the call thinking, okay, Chris, I'm thinking of starting a company. But how do I know what the TAM is? How do I research that? Well, a couple of ways. Number one, you can enter the sector name in Google and then TAM. So what is the TAM for this sector? And if you see reports from reputable companies like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Bain, Accenture, where I used to work, Accenture, etc. You can read those reports that usually have the TAM. Yeah. Or go to ChatGPT and type this. Tell me the total addressable market of the automotive industry, for example, and only use reputable sources and provide me all of your sources. Now, if you still can't find the TAM that way, then the easy way to do it is as follows. most sectors are dominated, especially in tech, by 3, 4, or 5 companies. What you can do is this. Find the top 25 companies in a given sector globally that are publicly traded. Then go to their annual reports and add up the revenue of all 25 companies for the most recent year. And that is a good enough proxy for the total addressable market. Yeah. Okay. And I teach you in my MBA program. If you go to the last lecture, you can access the AI courses on how to do investment research using all AI products, or the big 4 AI products, in case a lawyer is watching. Yeah. Okay. 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 Quick comment on Bitcoin with respect to the election. Yeah. So, okay. So one of the reasons Bitcoin is up, a couple of reasons, is because of the election of Trump. Now, Trump is seen as being less negative on Bitcoin than other candidates. Also, because he's Republican, because he's Trump, he also wants to maybe deregulate financial services companies. That's why companies like JP Morgan have doubled this year. It's been unbelievable. Yeah. So less regulation is a good thing for investors. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that in our lifetime, please do your research first based on what I'm about to say. I own a lot of Bitcoin. I bought it years ago. I have it in an IRA. Okay. So it's tax free, or I already paid tax on it. I think Bitcoin is going to be $1 million at one point in my life. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's not that it's big of a deal. It's like a 10 bagger from here at some point in my life, right? And if money doubles every 7 years, right, roughly, then in 70 years, yeah, Bitcoin should be $1 million. And there's many reasons for that. Number one, it's seen as digital gold. I know a lot of people don't believe in it. That's okay. It's seen as digital gold, and most importantly for me. The way I think about Bitcoin, here it is here. I found it. Okay. The way I think about Bitcoin is back in 2004, the gold ETF was created, ticker GLD. So it became easier for all of us to be able to buy gold. You didn't have to go, this is fake. You don't have to go to, a seedy part of town and buy gold and then worry, oh my God, is it real or not? You can just buy the ETF, GLD. It's real. Okay, you'll pay fees of 50 basis points per year. That's just fine. It's real. Now, that was back in 2004 when that was created. And I remember because it was my biggest long position in 2008 in my hedge fund when we thought that we were within 24 hours of bankruptcy not working. So gold became easier to buy in 2004. Chris, why are you mentioning this? Well, up until recently, the only way to buy Bitcoin was to use this process here of buying the Ledger Nano, right? And I own tons of these things. This is the latest version. I didn't even open it. I'm not gonna. And the reason I'm not gonna open it is because before the Bitcoin ETF, if you want to buy Bitcoin, you had to set up one of these secure wallet things. There's one called a Trezor. This is the Ledger Nano. And you have to enter in a bunch of codes, and it's so complicated. And if there's any friction in the buying process, consumers buy less or they buy none. And I would always get frustrated. And so after I set these things up and I've had Bitcoin, at the last second, I always cut my order in half because I lack confidence in its process. Well, now that there's ETFs, it's easier to buy. And now institutions can buy in size. And that's what really moves stocks or any investment class. So when I started teaching about cryptos and joined my first crypto board back in 2013 when I worked in venture capital, it was almost all retail investors that owned cryptos. Bitcoin. Now, well over 50% is now institutional, partially because of ETFs. You simplify the buying process always, it gets easier to buy and you buy more. It's kind of like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, the buy it now button. Make it easier to buy, remove the friction, people buy more. Yeah. Okay. My son Andrew, let me text him. He's supposed to come and we're supposed to work out together. In the garage. Okay, that's fine. All right. how do you predict trends? Just think long term and use common sense. You know, like in 10 years, will there be more demand for, I don't know, SpaceX to launch satellites or less? Well, certainly in the future, more satellites are going to be launched. And you keep it simple like that, and you skate to where the puck is going to be, and think long term. Yeah. And this will help you from getting seduced into buying value traps, meaning stocks that are cheap. They're cheap for a reason. Yeah. Okay, next question is from Sergio. Hey, Sergio, first time I've seen you on the call. Hope you joined again. Wrote, is it bad for starting a company like SoFi Technologies to have a negative PE? Yeah. No, I mean, every company on the planet pretty much loses money in the first couple of years. It's the same thing with buying an investment property in real estate. You're going to lose money in the first couple of years at least. Then you make a fortune in the long run. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's why people look at price to revenue multiples instead of price to earnings initially. But you have to be able to forecast your financial statements with confidence, knowing that they're going to be profitable in the long run. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this call. I know there's a lot more questions. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I love you all so much. Manas wrote, this is the 220th webcast I've been on. Always great to have you. So whatever questions you have, if you're in one of my MBA programs, just ask me during our Zoom calls next week, or just ask me on this weekly call next week as well. Again, for silver students, there's no weekly Zoom call today, or gold or platinum, or diamond students, no one-on-one stakes. I got to go to, first of all, work out with my kids in the garage. They're getting older now. They're a lot bigger than this. And then we're going to go down to San Jose for Thanksgiving. So I am thankful and grateful for all of you. When I wake up in the morning, I always thank God for 10 things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my wife, Christine, my mom, my dad, my brother, Jamie, my sister, Elizabeth, and the memory of my sister, Katie, and all of you, my students. So thank you. And I'm going to end this webcast with a short video, which I just actually wired the money to pay for the license of it for another year. I've been licensing it for years. It's an interview with Steve Jobs that will change your life. Check out my Black Friday sale. It lasts until, I think, December 3rd at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Get 25% off. God bless you. Great questions this week as always. And thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.